Comes down to defense, and Appalachian has one of the best defensive lines in the country.
Yes, they do. You look at the three guys they have up front, outstanding athleticism. They get after the passer. They are relentless. They don't stop, and they continue to come. You look at Josh Jeffries. He's the leader, but KT Stovall, Menino, those guys are very good. But I think today they're going to try to pressure the quarterback and put him in situations that he's uncomfortable with.
Well, Western Carolina, which is 5-5, this game is about more than just finishing with a winning or losing record under first-year head coach Kent Briggs, who has returned to his alma mater. The Catamounts have lost 16 of the last 17 in this series. Now, they'll play two quarterbacks. Senior Pat Salento will start, and he's played very well of late.
He has. The month of October, 68% when you look at his pass completions. This guy's been a winner for the past few weeks. He's played outstanding football. He is going to make good decisions. They are going to throw the football, and they're going to place this game in his hands.
Well, both of these teams know what lies ahead and how this game will be felt throughout the offseason workouts and beyond. It's Appalachian State and Western Carolina battling for the Old Mountain Jug. We'll have the opening kick and more in a moment. Hi, your Carolina Ford dealers, driving the Carolinas. By Microtel Inns and Suites, Microtel, get a room. By Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi. And by Bi-Lo Supermarkets, the ultimate place for tailgating essentials. This is beautiful western North Carolina, where it's the stuff picture postcards are made of at this time of year when the weather cooperates. We are at Whitmire Stadium on the campus of Western Carolina for the school's rivalry game with Appalachian State. And is there any rivalry like a sibling rivalry? Well, we've got a unique situation today, and it's one we are going to be watching throughout this game. Appalachian State's center is senior Thomas Herron, and his younger brother, Lewis, happens to play defensive tackle for Western. Now today, those backyard rumbles or that roughhousing upstairs turns into the real deal as brother will be going against brother. These two guys were on the phone with each other all week long. Both of the coaches told us yesterday that they tried to downplay it with each of these guys during the week, but also realized there's no chance of that actually happening. These guys can't wait to butt heads. It'll be interesting to see if one's able to put another in a headlock and deliver some noogies, right?
I'll just add, I think they'll be getting after it. How about that?
Well,
I don't know about the headlock. Holding, personal foul.
The older brother is on App State, and the younger brother can't wait. Now, Thomas played defensive tackle for the first 3 years at Appalachian, so this kind of thing almost never had the chance to happen, but he's on the offensive line and starting now at center, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. This series goes back to 1932. Now, Appalachian has certainly dominated most recently, and Western has not won since 1998, but that's still a very memorable year around here. In 98, Western was just 5-5 going into the game. Appalachian State was a top 10 team thinking about a national championship. Brad Hoover, the older brother of Appalachian State's fullback Joey Hoover and the current starting fullback at Carolina, 49 carries for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns that day as Western won the game 23-6, ending a 13-game losing streak in the series. The fans charged the field with 28 seconds to play, tore down the goalposts, which are still standing in the front lawn of a fraternity around here. This one win has certainly lasted for 4 years, but Ethan, it's had to last for 4 years.
It has. I think also when you look at Western, they're trying to find themselves, and there you see the goalpost. Well, what's left of it anyway.
Yeah, well, they've stood the test of time in pieces. But we hear about playing for pride, Ethan, and again, for Western, that's clearly what they're doing today.
But also, they can also have a winning record. At 6-5, you end your season on a high note, and beating your arch rival, I think that just adds to it.
And this is one of those things that will warm the cold winter nights if they are able to win. But the same can be said for both teams. Of course, we've talked about all that's at stake for Appalachian. They really have to win this game to make the field in the 1AA playoffs.
Well, I don't think they're helping themselves right now. They're late coming out for the kickoff. I don't know if it's by design or just trying to get into the heads of the Catamounts. But, hey, I think the App State football team, I think they're ready to play.
Well, we'll find out in a moment. We'd like to bring in the third member of our broadcast crew, Jim Noble, who's standing by with Appalachian State head coach Jerry Moore.
All right, Coach, you've won 16 out of 17 in this rivalry, but still, so much to play for. How geeked up do your kids get about keeping this Old Mountain jug at home?
Well, the rest of those other 16 don't mean anything this afternoon. Everybody starts afresh when we get to this ball game right here. We've had a good week of preparation. We got a lot riding on it.
The task at hand, as you said, is right here. How much can you keep them focused on this and not worry about the playoff scenarios that may be developing?
If they don't focus on this, there won't be any scenario for the playoffs, I can tell you that.
All right, guy, what do you have to do early to get off to a good start against these guys?
I think we just got to play our game. We just got to be intent and no mistakes. I say no mistakes, no goofy stuff. You're going to make some mistakes in a ball game, not mistakes that'll come back and haunt you, though.
Coach, thanks very much. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Guys, it rained all day here in Cullowhee, but I'll tell you what, we've got a lot of influence for the man upstairs. No rain, balmy by mountain standards. Let's kick this one off.
And Jim, I'm sensing there's no one in this stadium happier about the current weather situation than you. Western Carolina has won the toss and elected to defer. There is Kent Briggs, first-year head coach here. He played quarterback and was a freshman quarterback on this Western Carolina team in the first year the Old Mountain Jug was awarded. Back in 1976, was an assistant under the late, great Bob Waters. Then spent a lot of time at North Carolina State, but has come back to his alma mater. And Western Carolina, Tim Macy kicking off to Appalachian, and here we go. Out of bounds is Jermaine Little, and let's take a look at today's Bilo Supermarkets starting lineup. Appalachian State, led by senior quarterback Joe Burchett. He leads the conference in passing yards, has a chance to become the school's all-time leader today. The front line is good and big. We've talked about senior center Thomas Herron going against his brother today. Senior Brady Washburn's father is defensive line coach of the Tennessee Titans. Solid performers at the skill positions. The Mountaineers will open in a 4-receiver set, one back, no tight end. Flanker Sterling Hayward has at least one catch in 22 consecutive games. We will see the fullback and tight end later. 1st and 10 for Appalachian at its own 25-yard line, and the pitch comes to Joey Beard. Tries to turn the corner, makes a positive pickup. The Western Carolina defense has its own set of fine defensive ends. Michael Spicer has been playing as well as anyone in the conference. The linebackers are led by junior Rod Dunlap, who plays as hard as anyone on the field. Senior Dunstan Kendrick is a converted defensive end and still learning the position. The secondary has been riddled with injuries. Redshirt freshman Deontay Cook will be making his first start on one corner. Strong safety Pat Leach could be the biggest hitter on the team. Appalachian comes out. 2nd and 2 after the 8-yard gain. Play action, and Burchett wants to go up top. Overthrows his intended receiver, Joey Hoover, out of the backfield.
Wide open. It's the old trick 'em play. Send the fullback through the line of scrimmage, fake the block, and he's wide open. But this time, Joe Burchett, he just misses the pass. Everything is set up perfectly. See Hoover, wide open. But he overthrows him.
Not a purple shirt in the screen, and that's one Burchett would love to have back. 3rd and 2. So once again, Appalachian may have the opportunity to do any number of things in the short yardage situation. It didn't take long to get the fullback on the field. And now it's Jerry Beard in motion, but the fullback, Joey Hoover, gets the football and the first down.
Well, it was a 3rd and short situation, so you know you want to have that lead block if he is blocking in the ball game. But also you see there, the defense, they go with the tailback and the fullback gets to carry. And Hoover, he doesn't get a lot of carries, but those carries he has, they've been very productive.
It seems like Appalachian is working some mind games early, coming out late, starting with a 4 wide receiver set, then bringing the fullback back in right on the second play. And this time it's Jerry Beard straight ahead. He gets a couple, and both of them very tough. Jeb Hall on the tackle.
Well, Jeb Hall, he penetrated the offensive line, and he was able to get into the backfield. But, Paul, I think this offense is definitely going to run the football due to the weather. Jerry Beard, he has been outstanding all season. He has been a very good back. He is going to get stronger as the game progresses, but I think they also are going to take some shots down the field because they feel like, they have some very good receivers also.
Officially, a pickup of 1 for Beard. leaving Appalachian with a 2nd and 9, just shy of its own 40-yard line. And again, Jerry Beard, and now he's got running room across midfield into Western territory, a first down and more.
Well, I think this is their offense. You get the ball to your best back, in this case 34, Jerry Beard. He has good eyes, good vision. He cuts it all the way back across the grain, and now he just outruns everybody into the secondary. And this is just good patience, because he starts to his left, he comes back to his right, and there's nobody there because of purple shirts. They over-pursued.
And a great job by that front line to blow that hole open. 1st and 10 for Appalachian at Western's 43-yard line. 2 wide receivers, top of your screen. Jerry Beard, a lone setback as Hoover goes in motion. Beard takes the pitch across the 40, a first down and more inside the 30-yard line. Another first down for the Mountaineers.
Right now, offensively, Rob Best, he's doing exactly what he wants. He puts Hoover in motion, and number 1, Pat Leach, the safety goes with the motion, which leaves an open side, and that's why Jerry Beard was able to pick up a lot of yards.
And all of a sudden, Western's secondary is making most of the tackles. Lamont Reed there, and that's not a good sign for the Catamounts.
Well, you touched on it, Paul. Offensively, the Mountaineers have come out in a lot of different sets. So defensively, they're having to adjust on the run.
1st and 10 for Appalachian at the 27. Joey Hoover the call, and he's met right out of the gate by middle linebacker Mitch Hall.
And offensively, everything that they've called, it's worked. I mean, nothing has worked against them. They haven't hurt themselves with penalties in just bad plays other than the overthrown pass by Burchett. And this is a pretty good drive to start the ball game.
And Jerry Beard came into the game needing just 21 yards to move up another notch on Appalachian's all-time rushing list into 7th place. He's already got that, knocking Dwight Kerr down a notch to 8th. We're in a 2nd and 10 situation, no gain for Hoover. And Burchett pitches it to Beard. Beard looking for running room, turns the corner, check that, make it Sean Jackson on the carry. Jackson's first carry of the game, a tough one as he was unable to find the corner.
Well, he picked up a big block by his fullback Hoover on Leach to safety, which gave him a chance to get to the outside, and that's what Sean Jackson is. He is an outside runner. He won't run between the tackles very much, so I think they want to get him to the outside to stretch the defense.
Well, with the 3rd and long situation, Jermaine Little joins the crowd at wide receiver. It's another 4 wide receiver set, and Burchett in the shotgun all by his lonesome. With time now flushed from the pocket, he's brought down from behind by Rod Dunlap on the blitz. It's successful for Western Carolina.
Well, it was a fumble on the play, and trying to see if Western picked it up, and I think Appalachian was able to get the ball back. And Dunlap, he just comes from the outside, and he's untouched. See, he hesitates, and now here he comes. I mean, Burchett is going to be very upset with himself because number 9, Jermaine Little, he was wide open on a crossing route. He just missed him.
And he did lose the football, but Appalachian was fortunate to recover. So now, Mark Wright is in to try a 44-yard field goal. He's got plenty of leg and right on the money, so Appalachian is on the board with the 44-yard field goal, 3-0. A nice offensive drive by Appalachian to open the ball game. Western Carolina will await the football and its first chance to get back.
Welcome back to the Carolina Mountains, everybody. App State leading Western Carolina 3-0. You know, 4 years ago was such a huge victory for Western Carolina. We've heard the name Joey Hoover already today, but Brad Hoover had the game of his life for Western Carolina. 198 yards rushing, 49 carries, 2 touchdowns. I talked this earlier this week to Brad Hoover, and he says he still thinks about that game back in 1998. Hoover, of course, now a fullback with the Carolina Panthers.
My junior year was the first time, I guess, Western had it in 14 years. And, of course, we lost it the next year. But just having that, you know, winning that game, having that jug on the field on our home field was just, I mean, words probably couldn't even explain it because it was just an awesome feeling to know that you were participating in a game that has been going on for, years and years. And to have that trophy, so to speak, it was a big thing for our program then.
There are the goalposts from that game, still standing at the KA House. The memories lasting for 4 years, and boy, would Western Carolina love to add some new memories to this storied history. Appalachian's Mark Wright set to kick, and Xavier Goddard takes it just outside his 5. Popped once, twice, and at the 25, down he goes, and that's where Western Carolina will begin. The offense led by senior quarterback Pat Salento, who will start. He played well the last 4 games in particular in the spread offense. Junior Brian Gaither will play too. The front line is anchored by senior Caleb Queen, who Coach Kent Briggs calls tenacious. Tight end Todd Vargela is like another lineman. He'll play some on defense too. And it's a 3 wide receiver set. The seniors starting today on senior day. Michael Banks, the go-to guy. Junior Lamont Seward will be in very soon. 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. Salento will start in the shotgun with Manny Deschatiers to his left. Low snap. Salento looking to go long right out of the gate. Lamont Seward, the one who was out there, starting in what was a 4th wide receiver. Now the Appalachian defense, one of the best front lines in all of 1AA football, led by those bookend defensive ends. Josh Jeffries, the school's all-time sack leader. KT Stovall leads the team this year. Linebackers have had all sorts of injuries, but senior Sam Small still mans the weak side. Secondary, active. Junior corner Derek Black is a big play guy. On 2nd down, it's Deschatiers who goes into a pile and doesn't get much of anything. Looks like the ball might have been bobbled for a moment, but it's going to be 3rd and long.
Well, this is not a running football team. No offense. They're going to try to catch the Mountaineers off guard defensively, but they've also adjusted. They are not huddling. They are receiving their defensive calls from defensive coordinator John Wiley.
Well, 3rd and 10, call it 9. Not exactly what Western had in mind, but it's an opportunity for a 3rd down conversion. A little play action out of the shotgun. Salento finds a man over the middle. Todd Vargela hit by Scott Kornatzer, and here comes some flags. We'll see if this is going back or moving farther downfield.
Well, I tell you what, Sam Smalls, he's a little upset, so that flag could be against him, and I think the ball is moving further down the field.
And we have a personal foul against Western Carolina. Let's take another look as Salento takes care of a bad snap and then finds the open man.
Well, you mentioned open, wide open. I mean, nobody's around it, but when you spread the field, see, there it is right there.
Personal foul, late hit against the offense, 15-yard penalty enforced after the 1st down.
So Smalls wasn't happy in terms of what I stated, the penalty being against him. He was upset because he was getting drilled in the back.
The recipient. Well, he had reason to be unhappy.
But nobody around the tight end, and when you spread the field, as I said before, it opens up lanes. And defensively, you have to cover the lanes and try to cut off those lanes for the quarterback to hit those open receivers.
Well, it's a good and bad situation for Western, which picks up the 1st down, but the most penalized team in the conference suffers the penalty and moves backwards, but Salento takes care of another pass to that go-to guy, Michael Banks, so Western continues to move.
Well, that's one of the things that Jerry Moore has talked about, penalties and being in the right position at the right time. Banks wide open. And again, when you open the field up, you have a lot of green grass out there, and that's why the Camelots like to throw the football, because it gives them a lot of options.
Banks, the team's leading receiver, picks up a little more than 8, call it 9 yards on the play. 2nd and short now for Western Carolina. And Deschatiers looks for running room, but finds a whole lot of white jerseys coming after him, led by KT Stovall.
Well, we talked about Stovall early, penetrating, getting after the quarterback, but he's also good in running situations, because most teams like to run away from Josh Jeffries. And when you run away from Jeffries, you run right to Stovall. And I think, look at the athleticism, he's the better of the two.
3rd down, a loss of at least a yard, maybe 2 on the play, calling it 3rd and 3. Salento from the shotgun wants to throw, and it falls in and out of the hands of Chris Lane.
Well, he dropped that one. The pass was right there, but he just can't come up with it, and it would have been for the 1st down.
Lane is a senior who is by far having his best year so far, but that not one of his best plays. And Western Carolina, after having some moments, will be forced to punt. Stanton Horn on to punt. Statistically, he's last in the conference in net yardage, but Coach Kent Briggs was talking to us yesterday about how good the punters are in this conference. He's very happy with the way Horn is punting. He's averaging just over 40 yards a punt. The always dangerous Devon Folks will be waiting. And Folks fields it at his 30, shakes and bakes, and is off and running and tripped up just shy of his 45. He had a moment where he thought he was gonna go.
He was going someplace, and this is what Coach Kent Briggs talked about, kicking away from the punt returner because he's very good. He gives his team great field position, and now Appalachian, they have another shot at getting a score.
Appalachian will get its second possession when we come back. Here in Cullowhee, North Carolina, we're midway through the first quarter, and Appalachian State has a 3-0 lead on Western Carolina. This fall, get your NFL fix a day earlier with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you've ever seen. This week, Michael Irvin, Tony Siragusa, and comedian Tommy Davidson are joined by actor, rapper, and Raiders fan Ice Cube. Plus, Tommy visits Goose's old stomping grounds in Baltimore. So start your NFL weekend the night before kickoff with the NFL Show, presented by the U.S. Postal Service, tonight after the Iowa State-Colorado game only on Fox Sports Net. And Joe Burchett, leading this Appalachian State offense, has moved up to the top of the charts in several all-time school records and has some more in his sights that he could reach today, like the all-time career passing yardage.
Well, they're going to throw the football, so he will definitely have an opportunity.
1st and 10 for the Mountaineers at their own 45-yard line. Burchett wants to throw, and it's batted down. Western Carolina making a defensive statement.
Well, Rod Dunlap, number 7, he's come up big time twice, rushing a passer, knocking down a pass, and so far at number 7, he's very active.
And you can see that Joe Burchett leads the school's all-time mark for touchdown passes and pass completions. He's picked those up in each of the last 2 weeks. He starts the game just 140 yards shy of moving up to number 1 in passing yards, and he is the top passer in the Southern Conference. 2nd and 10, Burchett out of the shotgun, wants to throw again. Has his man, and it's a short pickup. Deontay Cook, the redshirt freshman corner, in on the tackle of Sterling Hayward, who stretches his consecutive game streak with at least one catch, now to 23.
Well, this is his favorite receiver. I mean, he's missed some time early in the season, but he has come back now with a vengeance, 27 receptions. And he is going to be his go-to guy, I think, when this team gets into a lot of trouble, because Joe feels very comfortable throwing the football to him.
Well, Devon Folks comes out in the slot to the left side. Jermaine Little wide left, and Hayward up top. Burchett wants to throw, but he's in a world of trouble. From his backside, he lets it go, and the Western Carolina crowd would like to see intentional grounding, but they're not going to get it.
Well, they shouldn't. You have number 91. He plays tight end. He plays defensive tackle, defensive end, Todd Bergella, because this team has a lot of injuries up front, and the coaches feel like, although he plays tight end, he's their best defensive lineman and definitely their best pass rusher.
He's played the last couple of weeks on the other side of the ball and graded out extremely well. An Appalachian forced to punt. Into the end zone it goes. Nice punt from Nate McKinney. And on the touchback, Western Carolina will start at its own 20.
Well, I want to go back to Bergella. If he can rush the passer as he did there, forget about playing tight end. Put him on the defensive front and say, go get the quarterback.
Well, you know, I think the backup tight end, Brian Rucker, is certainly going to get the opportunity to catch the football because, as you say, Ethan Bargala is going to find himself on the defensive side. It looks like quite a bit today, but there he is, back out there to play tight end because he really is a blocking tight end more than a pass catching, even though he was wide open earlier in the first possession. Catamounts will start at their own 20. 1st and 10, and the Shotteers again hit just as he crosses the line of scrimmage. Those a tough yard or two.
Well, the Catamounts changed their offensive set. They came out early on the first drive with 4 receivers. They've come back now with 2 tight ends. It appears to be their big set, their heavy set to rush the football. And this is what the Mountaineers want them to do, run the football and really don't throw the football because they throw the ball better than they're rushing.
2-yard pickup, 2nd and 8. Deschamps again finds some running room on the left side, pushes it out toward the 30. He'll be close to the first down, and let's go down to Jim Noble.
Guys, you've talked and seen Manny Deschamps. As many of you know, he took over for Fred Boateng when he went down with a knee injury earlier this year. You know, Manny's 5'7". He's not that big. He's not even that fast. He just brings it every time. And no matter what happens in this game today, the Deschamps family is happy because Manny's brother Pierre ran for 68 yards in the game-winning touchdown for Brevard High School in their opening playoff game last night.
That's all good, and Jim, he is a workhorse for sure. His knee went down 3 yards shy of the first down, and Salento tries the quarterback draw, and I'm not sure he got that.
I think he has it. If he has it, it will be by the nose of the football. No, he's short. But I want to go back to Deschamps for a moment. He's not that fast. He's not that big. But the big boys up front, the offensive linemen, they love him. So they're going to sell out for him, and they realize that he has some limitations, but he's definitely going to run hard, and that's what they like in that running back.
He's got a great work ethic and a huge heart. Pounds it out, play after play. And like you said, he might not get those 30 or 40-yard runs when he breaks open. He'll only get 7, 8, 10, 12, but he gives it everything he's got every time he touches the football. Western, though, forced to punt, which brings us to Stanton Horn. And now there's a timeout down on the field as the two teams will get the opportunity to talk it over. And gives us an opportunity to remind you about the Southern Sports Report. 30 minutes of nightly sports news completely dedicated to home teams throughout the South. It's nightly at 10 Eastern and 9 Central only on Fox Sports Net. And of course, coming up tomorrow night, that huge game in the NFC South between the Saints and Falcons as cousin battles cousin with Aaron Brooks and Michael Vick. We'll also sit with our Sunday night one-on-one with Georgia head coach Mark Richt after the Bulldogs play their biggest game in 20 years. And of course, NASCAR's last race, all on your Southern Sports Report tomorrow night at 10 Eastern.
Paul, the Catamounts, they've had time to talk it over. They've thought about it, and now they're going for it, 4th and 1. So they are rolling the dice right now.
You saw that house up on a hill that belongs to head coach Kent Briggs, who is building it up there. We would like to welcome our viewers who have been watching the Big 12 football game between Nebraska and Kansas State. Welcome to our coverage of Division I AA football today. It's a Southern Conference matchup between 8th-ranked Appalachian State and Western Carolina in a battle for the Old Mountain Jug. We are live from Whitmire Stadium in Cullowhee, North Carolina, along with Ethan Horton and Jim Noble. This is Paul Crane saying that Appalachian leads Western Carolina 3-0.
Against the offense.
And
5-yard penalty.
Western Carolina
down remains 4.
Coming out for a 4th down play after a timeout. Ethan Horton, I'm not sure that's what Coach Kent Briggs had in mind to have a penalty against them.
Well, there was a lot of movement up front on App State, but Michael Banks, I think he was moving on that movement and he took off, so the penalty was actually against him.
So, still, it's back to a decision to punt from going for it.
Well, they should kick away from Devon Folks, and they're not.
And Folks will field it at his 35 and look for running room. Folks gets some, not a lot, down inside his 45, but once again, Appalachian State will have good field position. This, one of the finest rivalries in the Southern Conference, but more than that, it's one between two teams. They play for the Old Mountain Jug, but Appalachian has dominated the series recently. Western Carolina, an opportunity to finish with a winning season. But for Appalachian, the stakes can be no higher. Win today, they will undoubtedly make the playoff field in 1AA. Lose, their season will come to an end. 1st and 10 for Appalachian at its own 44-yard line. Jerry Beard hit in the backfield by Michael Spicer. Another tackle for loss. He's already set the school record and adds to it his 25th of the season.
Well, this is the play they had some success with early. But Spicer reads it. And that's why he makes the play, because Grant Oliver, 75, just couldn't cut him off and keep him from getting to the outside.
He's hot, making him hot and spicy. A loss of 7 on the play. 2nd and 17 for senior quarterback Joe Burchett and the Mountaineers. Burchett wants to throw. Hit once, bounces off that would-be tackler. Burchett, not exactly a running quarterback, but he gets back to the original line of scrimmage and actually a little beyond as Lamont Reed and Stephen Nace chase him down.
Well, Jonte Filliard, 24, he has an open shot on it. Delayed blitz, there it is right there. Burchett, just a big, strong quarterback, stays up, and now he needs to go down. Here's a guy that's had back surgery, and you don't want your quarterback out there taking unnecessary hits.
Burchett had a net yardage of -3 coming into the game, so you know Jerry Moore does not like seeing him run. 3rd and long, Burchett to throw, and he's got a man. And a first down. Andrew Layton, who had 5 catches for 111 yards last week, starts adding to it and picking up where he left off now this week.
Well, right now the offense has a lot of balance. They've run the ball very well on the ground. Burchett, he's hit some receivers. They have done just enough on offense to keep the defense guessing with the different formations, with the success they've had. And now you have to say the Catamounts will have to figure out how to stop this football team, because coming into the game, the Catamounts didn't know if they were a running team or a passing team.
In the first series, they ran the football. Now they've been able to throw it to climb out of holes. Joey Hoover, the fullback, on the run. Tough yard or 2.
Well, Hoover, I think he's the changeup, because he's not going to carry the ball very much. He's primarily a blocker, and I think they just throw him in there just enough to keep the defense honest.
And he's also able to catch the football out of the backfield.
He's had some success there, because you don't expect the fullback to be involved with the receivers that they have.
Forcing the defense to have to pay attention to him. 2nd and long now for Appalachian at the Western Carolina 40-yard line. Burchett from the shotgun with time sets up the screen to Foltz, who thinks he has some yardage, but a nice open field tackle there keeps him from getting significant yardage. Actually, that was White on the play.
Well, it was the same defense as before. Filliard comes late. This time the Mountaineers decided we're going to go with the delayed screen to try to beat the blitz and beat the pressure coming up the middle. Play set up very well, but just not for a lot of yards.
Jose White with his first catch of the game leaves Appalachian with a 3rd and 6 at Western's 37-yard line. Joe Burchett in a 3-wide receiver set from the shotgun. And he's steps up in the pocket and picks up another first down. Andrew Layton once again.
Well, Burchett had a lot of time. He stood in the pocket. I thought he could have actually run for the first down, but he didn't. And when you have the ability to spread the ball around to multiple receivers, you have to play honest defensively. See right there, he steps up, and there he is, bam, wide open. And that's what really, I think, got the completion, just with him being very patient in the pocket.
We are under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Appalachian leading Western 3-0. Another first down as the Mountaineers continue to move the football now to the 27 of Western Carolina. Jerry Beard up the middle. Gets a few before running into Rod Dunlap, and again, tough yardage for the Mountaineers.
Well, offensively, the Mountaineers want to push 34 Jerry Beard. Watch the two brothers in there. Get out of the way, here he comes. See the Herons, you think they're talking to each other down there? I'm coming right at you. We are going to block you.
I think I'd love to be a fly on the wall, or shall we say on the helmet down there. I'm sure there's all sorts of things going back and forth, but nobody's talking about their mama.
I guarantee you they're not.
Flag on the field. And let's go down to Jim Noble.
Well, Paul, Ethan, maybe no mamas have been mentioned, but be sure that the Heron brothers are talking to each other. It's toned down a little bit since the first series.
Unsportsmanlike.
But it is I tell you what, both sides of the football, not just the Herons, are going at it. In fact, one of the Western players was just warned for giving the throat slash gesture. It is really nasty down here. Of course, you'd expect that given the history between these two teams.
And here we have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, Jim, on Appalachian, so it must be nasty down there.
Well, each team has had one now. So now that hopefully they've gotten those out of the way.
And with the game being close as it is, one would think that could only continue. Second and very long for Burchett and company, and somebody looks like they moved.
And Nick McNeil, 75 of the Catamounts, he moved it. I don't know if there was any movement along the offensive front of the Mountaineers.
Was he drawn or not? And again, it seems certainly in the trenches, all sorts of things are going on.
Well, they're trying to get a gauge on Burchett's cadence.
Prior to snap, false start against the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Well, that'll turn it from 2nd and 22 into 2nd and a near country mile here in the mountains.
Well, Jerry Moore touched on it earlier. We realize we're going to have mistakes, but we don't want to have mistakes that are going to beat us. You look at the last two penalties, those two penalties have taken this offense out of pretty good field position, and now they're looking at, as you said, Paul, 2nd and a country mile.
Burchett, flush to the left side, looks to throw, it's out of bounds. Mitch Hall was down on the coverage. And it will be 3rd and long.
Well, he tried to hit number 9, Jermaine Little, and Mitch Hall, number 41, comes again on a delayed blitz. And it seems like the Catamounts have decided to sit back in pass coverage when the lanes open up, rush, because they don't have any backs in the backfield, they being the Mountaineers. So if you run that delayed blitz, there's nobody really back there to block.
And the current drive now 8 plays long, but the Mountaineers have only gained 12 yards due to all those penalties. And it's 3rd and 27 from the 45. Burchett into the flat for Devon Folks. Let him try to do the work, and he's still standing before being popped by Lamont Reed on the far sideline.
He took a shot, but he's their best open field runner. They like to get him the ball right there in the flat area and say, okay, go and make a play. Just a little slip screen. See, defensively, they're only rushing 3. They're playing pass. But a great hit right here. Bingo.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
There you go.
4th down and about 3 for the Mountaineers, and back onto the field is Mark Wright. He's already got 1 field goal, 44 yards in length. This try will come from 47. A 40-yarder on the first, I should say, and the 47-yarder is no good. Close, but no.
Well, I thought number 4, Ahmed Green, may have gotten a piece of that field goal. If he didn't get a piece of the field goal, he definitely distracted the kicker because he came in pretty easy. I mean, it looked like nobody really touched him. I thought he was going to. Have you ever seen those block kicks where you block the kick, the ball bounces around, and then the person that blocks the kick picks it up and takes off? See right there? I thought he had it.
And still it had just about enough distance. It was just off the mark. And Western Carolina will take over at its own 31-yard line. And Pat Salento, still the quarterback. Wants to throw, fumbles the football. Loose, and Western appears to have recovered it, but that will be a significant loss.
Josh Jeffries, number 58, gets into the backfield. Josh Jeffries, I'm pretty sure, loves this offense. And he's going to love this game because the Catamounts are going to throw the football. He is a pass rusher. Actually, he's double-teamed, comes from behind, knocks the ball out. See, that's just determination. And a guy that just wants to get there. Watch the left side of your screen. See right there? He was blocked. Menino, another guy, he's going for it. Stovall. The 3 guys up front, the 3 players on this defense, they are very good because of this man right here, 58, Josh Jeffries. He started the whole play, and we saw the offense of the Mountaineers have a lot of penalties. But when you come back and make a defensive stand, as he has done here, and really the past few weeks he's played outstanding defense, Jeffries, watch him because he's going to make a lot more plays today.
Salento was probably having nightmares about Josh Jeffries leading up to the game. The problem for him now is he's awake.
Well, his sacks are down because of what we've seen, the double teams. But it forces Stovall and Menino into one-on-one blocking, and they've defeated their players. But when you can defeat double teams like that, that says to me that you are into this game and you are not going to give up, and they are going to have to bring 3 or 4 guys to block me. If they do that, it opens up everything for everybody else.
Well, we're set for what should be the last play of the first quarter as Appalachian clings to that 3-0 lead. Pat Salento and the Catamounts now in a world of hurt deep in their own territory, and the clock runs out. So we'll have to wait to see what happens. It's been an action-packed, if not high-scoring first quarter.
Welcome back to Cullowhee, North Carolina. App State 3-0 over Western Carolina, folks. You've gotten a glimpse of what Josh Jeffries, the Buck Buchanan Award candidate for Appalachian State, can do. Trust me, this kid is the total package. Here's what I'm talking about. This Jeffries can do one. First, Jeffries can overpower you. Check out the bull rush on the sack coming up. He is strong, he is agile, he is hostile. Then Jeffries also got the speed to run you down. On the option here against Georgia Southern, tracking down quarterback Chaz Williams. You don't see many linemen run like that. Also, we've seen Jeffries can single-handedly win a game. The play, the 2-point conversion interception against Furman that gave App that most unlikely of victories. Josh Jeffries, a front runner for that Buck Buchanan Award. Interestingly, guys, Jerry Moore says he projects best to the National Football League as a fullback.
Well, he's a big play guy, Jim, and wherever he's able to go, one shouldn't bet against him because this guy can play.
He can play, but I see him as a fullback as well. Now, he's not going to like what I'm about to say, but after watching him yesterday, he's a little short for a defensive end. He has good hands, he has good speed, he has a body of a fullback, and maybe that could be his natural position.
Well, Coach says he's got the best hands on the team, so one might expect to see him there at the next level. However, he's still a quarterback's worst nightmare at this level. Pat Salento's problem today, second and very, very long, and Salento calls his own numbers and tries to just shorten the situation, and he gets to the 20-yard line.
He does, but it's Josh Jeffries. He's not going to rush. See, he stops, hesitates, reads, and now he makes the play. A very smart quarterback because, as we've seen already, he has a bull rush. He has a power and speed to get to the outside, but also he has a smarts because on that interception against Furman, he read the play. He could have rushed. He dropped off right into the passing lane, caught it, and the rest is history.
And football smarts can certainly make up for, shall we say, a lack of size. He plays the defensive end position very well. Pat Salento almost picked off and is. Scott Kornatzer to the far side, brings it back to the 20, and just like that, Appalachian will be knocking at the door.
Well, Jarrell Carter, 55, the middle linebacker, he was mad at himself because he thought, oh, it went through my hands. But actually, he just slows it up just a little bit. Watch 55 right there. See, he slowed it up for Kornatzer, and really I think that's why he caught it, because he took some of the sting off of it.
That's Kornatzer's third interception of the year, which leads the team. And look at the smile. He knows all about this rivalry. His brother Neil preceded him at Appalachian, and now Kornatzer, holding up his end of the bargain in a big way, has Appalachian knocking at the door at the 20-yard line. And in a game is Richie Williams at quarterback, and he runs the option. The keeper picks up about 5.
Well, Lamont Reed, number 20, comes over. But Richie Williams, this guy's an athlete. Coach Moore likes him because he can do these types of things, get to the outside with speed. He's just a little change-up for this offense, and he's going back off the field. But this guy's got a lot of football ahead of him, and the App coaches, they've liked him for the future.
A week ago, he carried the ball 7 times for 137 yards, but he'll be the first to tell you he's not an option quarterback. He likes to throw the ball, but he certainly mixes it up, as you say, Ethan, here. A 5-yard pickup, Joe Burchett back under center at the 15-yard line. The pitch to Jerry Beard, who's hit in the backfield and fumbles the football. Loose, and Western thinks it has it. We'll have to see as the pile unpeels.
Oh, they got it back. Jason LeMay. The Pat Leach number 1, he read the play. He beat Jerry Beard to the spot.
And we talked about how Leach is probably the biggest hitter on the team, and now Jerry Beard knows that's true.
But also 75, Nick McNeil, he's in on the play. But this is the same type of motion that the Mountaineers have used earlier. And Leach, like I said, he beat him to the spot. Now he gets a little help, ball out, but good play by Nick McNeil by stripping the ball out.
Well, there's Leach, who loves to deliver blows, but Beard, from the initial blow, was never able to put the football away. He loses 6, and now it's 3rd and long for Burchett and the Mountaineers. Flag goes down. Burchett throws and completes. It'll be close to a first down, but we will have to see if this one comes back. Andrew Layton again on the reception.
Well, it is coming back because number 62 left tackle Rodell Simon, he's caught for holding.
And Simon is in the game only because Jim Vasquez hurt a knee a week ago.
Well, both tackles are out because 61, Michael Porter, he's not playing. Joey Tucker, 72, he's playing. So offensively, they're playing with 2 new tackles along the offensive front.
Here's another look. And Simon in trouble, reaching and grabbing, and that's no good. Nick McNeil, the one whipping around him.
Personal foul, face mask against the offense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, repeat 3rd down.
Well, I guess if you can't block them, grab the face mask.
Well, that's not good, and a drive which began for Appalachian at the Western 20-yard line after the Kornatzer interception has now gone 15 yards, 16 yards officially, in the wrong direction for the Mountaineers.
Well, this is what happened on their previous drive. They kicked the field goal and they missed it, and now they're back to where they were before.
And a bad sign for Jerry Moore. Each of the last 2 weeks, his Mountaineers have been in double digits in penalties. A little swing pass to Jerry Beard, who picks up significant yardage, but is only able to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, McNeil, 75, he knocked him forward for about 7 or 8 yards, and now I think they're going to try another field goal. But that was just a safe play just to get the ball in decent field goal range because they didn't want to take a chance on turning the ball over once again.
Well, Mark Wright, who is 13 for 20 on the season, including today, and we've got a fake. That's almost intercepted and dropped. Deontay Cook had it go in and out of his hands, but for Western, that's probably a good thing when it comes to field position.
Well, Daniel Bettis, number 80, wide open. Fake field goal, smart play, but it did not move Deontay Cook.
Nate McKinney, the one who turns into a quarterback.
See, it's set up perfectly, with the exception of the defender dropping the interception.
So Western will have the ball at the 20 when we come back, trailing 3-0. Welcome back to Cullowhee, North Carolina, where Appalachian has a 3-0 lead, but it's certainly been a wild one. The field goals are unpredictable. We've had a hit, a miss, and this, the fake, that had a chance as one man was open, but Deontay Cook dropped the would-be interception. But again, that's probably better for Western Carolina, which will get the ball now at the 20 instead of much deeper in its own territory.
Well, I realize Jason LeMay plays tight end and not quarterback. And if he throws the ball to a spot up the field, it's 6 points, but he tried to throw the ball to the tight end, and that's why it was almost picked off. But the Mountaineers, they pulled out all the stops.
Well, we've talked about the stakes for Appalachian needing to win this game to make the playoffs. Georgia Southern playing a non-conference game and finishing its regular season dominating Jacksonville State, as those Eagles are huge. But the game of the day in the conference, Furman has upset Wofford at Wofford, and all of a sudden the Paladins are back in the playoff hunt. Wofford had a chance to share the conference title with Georgia Southern, but now the Eagles win outright the conference title, and again it's their 6th consecutive Southern Conference championship.
A very good run for the championship, and also number 6, Brian Gaither. He enters the game at quarterback, and the coach has said you're going to see 2 quarterbacks, and the one that has a hot hand, that's the one we're going to go with.
Well, Pat Salento has not had a hot hand, but he hasn't had a chance because he's been in long yardage situations. Gaither, running out of trouble, will keep it and gain a couple, but he paid for every yard he gained.
Steve Kitchens, 29, the former strong safety, now playing linebacker. Due to injuries, he delivers a blow. I mean, you have a senior here, so he's thinking this could be my last game. So if it is my last game, I'm going out with a bang.
And the bang came on Brian Gaither.
He delivered it.
He sure did. A gain of 5, 2nd and 5. For the Catamounts, Gaither's first pass is complete to Brian Rucker, and he'll be very close to the first down.
And he's limping, but the coaches like Gaither, they feel like he has a very strong arm. And he's going to get some chances today because this team is going to throw the football, and they feel like in order for us to win this game, we have to put the ball in the air.
And there is Rucker running off the field. Gaither and Rucker were high school teammates, so it's no surprise to see Gaither look to his buddy from high school, but now Rucker looks like he'll be out.
But also, that's their backup tight end.
Which all of a sudden means Todd Bargala would have to spend even more time on the field. And hold on just a minute, as Manny Deschatiers wanted to run with the football, but he'll have to come back.
Well, Gaither's given this offense, it seems like, just a little spark. I mean, they picked up the first down. They appear to be just a little spunky.
Leo, you're out. Remains first down.
And again, the most penalized team in the conference is Western Carolina, and Kent Briggs can't be happy after the first down to see his team make a mistake like that to put it in a 1st and 15 situation.
Well, it changes things. It changes the play selection. And you know they're going to throw the football. Coming in, they're going to throw it anyway, but now they will have to go further down the field with it.
1st and 15 for Gaither, who is chased out of the pocket and throws an ill-advised pass. That's picked off, and once again, Appalachian will have an opportunity as Jarrell Carter makes the interception.
Well, it was a meeting at the quarterback. Jason Hunter, 97. Again, 58, Josh Jeffries. These guys are just teeing off because they realize it's open offense. Nobody can protect both sides. So you pick. Do I go and help on Jeffries? Do I help on Stovall? This time, Jason Hunter, an excellent pass rusher, he comes in. So when you look at this defense, they have a lot of guys that can get after it. But again, if you're throwing the football, you're telling those defensive ends, pin your ears back and rush the quarterback.
And you talked about how the penalty changed the options of play selections. Appalachian knew Western would have to throw. Jerry Beard fighting for a yard in the middle. Again, Western with a nice answer. There's the little brother, Lewis Heron, on the tackle.
Well, we called his name out now, so both names have been called out, so he can say, big brother, they called my name out on television also for a good play.
Something Mama would be proud of.
Very proud.
A gain of a yard for Beard. Appalachian now 2nd and 9 from Western's 29-yard line. 10:45 to go in the second quarter. The Mountaineers clinging to that 3-0 lead. Burchett gives it to Beard. Beard through the line into the secondary, and he's close to a first down.
That's what I think this offense should do. I mean, give the ball to Jerry Beard. He's an excellent north-south runner. And this is his type of game. It's slick out there. You don't want to really get to the outside with a lot of cuts and a guy back there changing direction. You want that back heading downhill behind his pads, making it very tough for the defense and really wearing them down because we've stated before, Paul, the Catamounts, they've had injuries up front. They're going to rotate their defensive front, and if you can wear those guys down, it's a plus for your offense.
Strong safety Pat Leach able to push Beard down a yard shy of the first. Now Beard in motion, but Burchett gives it to the first man through fullback Joey Hoover, who's got the first down inside the 20-yard line.
Well, they've gone back to the same play that they've gotten the first down on before. I mean, Hoover's going to carry the football in certain situations. He's going to be, like I said before, the secret guy in this offense because Burchett's going to throw the football. Beard, Jackson, those are the two main guys when they carry the football, and those are the two main guys that are going to push this ball down the field.
Let's go down to Jim Noble and an update on Brian Rucker.
Guys, they are working on the right ankle of Rucker. They've taken the tape off, retaped it, put the shoe back on. He is going to try to come back in.
All right, thank you, Jim. Hoover again, this time on first down, and man, he just pops his way to a pretty good pickup.
Well, he's like a bowling ball. He's hitting in there. Lamar Barnes, the middle linebacker, had the first shot 44, but he missed him. And it's wet. So the jerseys are a little slick, so it makes it a little difficult to tackle those guys because you just have a tendency to slide off because they are wet.
Lamar Barnes saving the first down, but a pretty good pickup of 6. 2nd and 4. Joe Burchett from under center. And this is Jerry Beard, who pays for it near the first down marker. Another solid hit delivered. Pat Leach and Lamont Reed.
Well, that time, Sean Jackson, just a little delayed draw. The little back, see, he gets behind his pass. Boom, he's back inside, makes a good cut. See, he's hard to see because he's very small. He's only 5'6", 150 pounds. So when he gets down behind those big offensive linemen, he's hard to see. And you really don't see him until he gets into the hole and he's popped out through the other side.
Now Sean Jackson, who had come in for Beard, hustles off the field. It's going to be 3rd and very short for Appalachian inside Western's 10-yard line. This a huge play for Western in particular. Burchett gives it to Beard, who fights toward the first down. A flag is down. You can see that Pat Leach on the stop doesn't think he made it. We'll have to see what the flag is and where the officials spot it.
Well, I thought he made it, but I realized there's a penalty, so it may go against the Mountaineers.
Defense lining up in the neutral zone. Half the distance. Remains first down.
Well, that'll be a 1st and goal for Appalachian. Let's go down to Jim Noble.
Hey, guys, it's great to see Pat Leach, the safety for Western, running around smacking people. In fact, he made the big hit 2 plays ago. He actually broke something on his helmet, came to the sideline. They got it fixed. He got back out to the field before that next play and just made that tackle. So the kid's like the Energizer Bunny running around there.
That he is, and he's certainly delivering all sorts of blows. He just needs more help out there.
No, he does.
1st and goal for Appalachian inside Western's 5-yard line. Burchett wants to throw an ill-advised pass after he had been hit. He and the Mountaineers are lucky that falls incomplete.
Well, Rod Dunlap, he comes. Number 7, the outside backer. He doesn't hesitate. Just a boot fake trying to get the back in the flat, in this case Hoover. But Burchett had no time to get the ball out there because he couldn't set his feet. It was more like, let me fake this in his stomach, turn around, oh, here he comes, let me get rid of the pass, and that's pretty much how it happened, so he really didn't have a lot of time.
Well, Corey Jones comes in to join Hoover, and it's a 2 fullback set as Hoover swings to the left. Jerry Beard, the deep back, and he gets the football. And a touchdown for Appalachian in the end zone, Jerry Beard.
Very good blocking. I mean, you're going to see the left side of the offensive line of the Mountaineers just control and dominate that side of the defense. I mean, he had a hole to his right, to his left. He could have taken either side, but he chose to cut back to the inside, which smart decision because it gave his football team 6 points.
7 plays, 29 yards, almost 3.5 minutes off the clock, and 7 points on the scoreboard. Appalachian has stretched its lead to 10-0. We've got less than 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Jerry Beard and the Mountaineers get a little breathing room before we come back. The Appalachian State fans who've made the journey to Cullowhee, North Carolina, have reason to be happy as their Mountaineers have grabbed a 10-0 lead. And 3 of their most significant seniors on the offensive side of the board had a lot to do with this last drive, starting with quarterback Joe Burchett. We've talked about how he's the top passer in the Southern Conference. He's rewriting the Appalachian State record books. How about fullback Joey Hoover? He's got the speed and ability to play tailback, but gets the job done in and out of the backfield from the fullback slot. He is strong, and he can catch the football and run it. And, of course, tailback Jerry Beard, who just scored the touchdown. You know, this guy did not even play organized football until his senior year in high school. And, boy, has he made a mark here at Appalachian. These three helping combine for the touchdown that has just put Appalachian up 10-0, but they will be missed after this year.
They will, because they've given this program an awful lot. And anytime you take pretty much your entire offense, I think, with the backfield, and you have to replace your backfield, now you have to bring some guys in or really work them into the program offensively to where you don't miss a beat. But I think they are going to lose an awful lot.
Mark Wright on to kick it off for the Mountaineers, who again lead 10-0 now. And it's Xavier Goddard just outside his 10-yard line. Up the middle he goes, shy of the 30, he goes down, and Western will start from there. Now this week, Fox NFL Sunday begins with America's #1 pregame show. Then Aaron Brooks leads the Saints against his cousin, Michael Vick and the Falcons, in a showdown between two NFC South rivals. It all begins this week on Fox NFL Sunday, and that will be a good one. Talk about rivalries with emotion. The Saints and Falcons have plenty of that in the NFL. But we've got
very good teams.
Yes, sir. We've got plenty of that right here. Brothers against brothers and two arch rivals against each other. Brian Gaither and the Catamounts. And that, Ethan, did not work.
Well, I think they're just trying to find something to get themselves going. I mean, Gaither isn't a running quarterback. I mean, his guy's a passer, a drop-back passer, but they haven't had a lot of success through the air, and we know that they're not really going to run the ball. And the times that they have run the ball, they haven't had any success there either. So I think they're just trying to find something to get themselves in the right position to put some points on the board.
And Kent Briggs playing the two quarterbacks, but look, it's been all Appalachian when it comes to offense today. So far, the two quarterback thing not working. On the run, Gaither tries to throw, and Michael Banks may have been open, but the ball was not delivered. It's incomplete.
See, I'm not fond of the two quarterback system. I mean, personally, I like one quarterback because if he's struggling or having problems in some sort of way, he can work his way through it. But when you have two guys, you have one quarterback on the bench thinking about it. You have one on the field trying to stay on the field. I think that's why right now you don't have a lot of continuity, because neither guy has a feel for the game.
And Coach Briggs feels he's got two guys who deserve to play, so he's been trying to give each the opportunity. But again, he did say if one could come up with a hot hand, he'll certainly get more snaps. Gaither from the shotgun, and this the draw to Manny Deschatiers. And he gets a few, but nowhere near enough.
No, it wasn't enough, but also I want to credit defensive coordinator John Wiley with this defensive scheme. Because he said if we can force them to run the football, we've won. If we can also force them to throw the football, I feel like we've won, because with our defensive pressure up front, I feel like my guys can get to the quarterback and force him into some things. If we force them to run the football, that's something that they really don't like to do.
And once again, it forces them into a punting situation. All the big guys in on that last play, as we had already mentioned. Menino, Stovall, even Sam Smalls was in there. And now it's Stanton Horn punting once again to the ever-dangerous Devon Folks. And Folks wants the fair catch and makes it around his 25-yard line, but a flag goes down. We may have had a violation of the halo as Western came charging down, put the brakes on, looked like it might have been all right, but the referee appears to be saying no.
I think you're right, Paul. I think that's the flag. I mean, Folks, he's had a lot of room early, and we've seen a big playability, but this time he had to signal for a fair catch, and that's something I don't think he really likes to do, because he will run 50 yards backward to go 10 yards forward.
It was a 43-yard punt. We'll see if anything gets added to it.
Kick catch interference. Gets the kicking team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, a no return gets turned into some added yardage. You can see Kent Briggs doesn't like it. Let's take a look, Ethan. Folks with a fair catch, and let's see if he gets distance. Well, that looked kind of like 2 yards to me.
We'll have to
and that's kind of a almost a ticky-tack foul, or no?
Well, I think it's a penalty. I think the
he did kind of break the bubble. before the catch was made?
I think so, yes.
All right. Well, there's Sean Jackson, who works hard for a couple of yards before meeting Mitch Hall.
And Jackson, he's a small guy. He's a changeup. Jerry Beard has softened up this defense just a little bit. And now you bring in your little scat back 24 to force them to chase because you know depth-wise they're missing some bodies. And on the scoreboard, Appalachian has the lead, so I think they're going to be very workmanlike to try to work this ball down the field for another score.
Approaching the 5.5-minute mark of the second quarter, Appalachian up 10-0, and Jackson, you say, listed at 5'6", standing next to him. He didn't have his cleats on. Joe Burchett looks for Jackson, who is open on the left side, but just misses him.
Well, two wide open receivers that he's missed. I mean, he has come to this field and played very well. I mean, the last time he was here, 379 yards, 4 touchdowns. App State, they won the football game. But today, he doesn't seem like he's that same type of quarterback. And I realize it's early in the game. We have an entire half left. And if this game stays close as it is right now, he's got to hit some receivers.
Well, Western's had a tough day. Let's go down to Jim Noble.
Guys, very, very big series for the Western defense right here. Kerry Gaudette had them on the sideline, said, guys, we need to change the momentum. We need a turnover. First guy wrap up the ball carrier, second guy strip it.
Well, 3rd and 8, the defense with a test and misses a tackle. Joey Hoover with a first down and more, and Appalachian is in Western territory once again.
Well, Dustin Kendrick, 49, he was right there to make the play, but Hoover makes a smarter play. He starts to the outside, and then he darts back to the inside. See, this is just a little play to get him the ball in space. Now watch what he does. 2 people, bam, see you later. And he gets up the field for the first down, but just that little hesitation and inside move, he just really fakes out 2 guys.
And he came up limping on that. Hoover leaves the game. And there he is. May have been just a cramp the way he's getting rubbed down. This is Jerry Beard working across the 40. Gets a yard or 2 before being shoved back, and Albert Reed in on the tackle. There's Hoover. It looks like perhaps it's more of a cramp as opposed to a sprained ankle or something like that.
Well, I think they could ill afford to lose Hoover in this case because he does so much. I mean, he's not really a dominant ball carrier because he's a designated blocker. When he carries the ball, it's for plus yards. And then in the passing game, he gets lost because of all the other weapons that they have. But he finds, as we've seen here, the first down, but he finds a way to make things happen. And I think he's a secret weapon in this offense because of the other weapons that they have.
And coming out of the game, he takes away an option for Jerry Moore. And on the reverse, fumbled by Andrew Layton. He never had control of the football. It's loose here, and Western Carolina's defense has made a big play. Nick McNeil kicking that thing loose.
Well, McNeil, he's made a lot of big plays here in the first half. And Lathan, he doesn't really put the ball away. I think he looked at the defense and said, okay, I don't have anywhere to go because he doesn't secure it. See, right there he has it, but he looked up, he saw 75, and now the ball is out. And he almost got it with sure effort, second effort, between his legs, but it wasn't good enough. Cook falls on it. See there, it's set up very well. But it comes out because 75, Nick McNeil stays home.
And Deontay Cook, the redshirt freshman from Marietta, Georgia, recovers the fumble, and Western picks up its first turnover of the day. App coughing it up, and Western opens inside Mountaineer territory at the 42-yard line. And Pat Salento is back at quarterback, and we've got to hold on just a moment.
Well, this is their best field position. If they can put points on the board here.
Delay of game against the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And how much of that, Ethan, comes from a new quarterback returning for the first time since earlier in the game?
Well, Kent Briggs can't be happy with what he's seeing right now. You have the best field position you've had all day, and you mentioned changing of the quarterbacks. I think that played a part in this penalty because you run a new guy out there. He hasn't been in the game, so he's trying to figure out, what's going on defense, get the play to his offensive guys, and now try to get it and move down the field.
It's a 3 wide receiver set for Salento, but he gives it to Deshaun Tears. Deshaun Tears, again, we talked about what a tough runner he is, and he certainly earned every yard there as he tries to work his way back toward the original line of scrimmage.
Well, defensively, the Mountaineers, they've done a very good job of pursuing the football. I mean, they've come into this game, from what I'm seeing right now, is that definitely they are playing for something. They're playing for the playoffs, but they are really in tune and focused to this offense.
Salento wants to throw and has a little time, but not a lot. A flag goes down, perhaps a face mask, and Salento goes down as well. We'll wait and see. John Menino was in there in a hurry.
Well, I think it's going to be a face mask penalty, but you saw the pressure. And this is what they want to do on that App State defense. Get after the quarterback, force him to run around, because when you run this spread offense, there's a lot of lanes out there. But if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw the ball, you can eliminate all of that.
Face mask against the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Now, we've talked about the two quarterback situation, but you know, Ethan, Western does have the top passing offense in the Southern Conference, averaging more than 256 yards per game. But today, they've only got 27, so it is not clicking in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's not, but after speaking with the defensive coordinator, John Wiley, of the Mountaineers, he said, I've studied this football team, and I really see a lot of weaknesses with this football team. Although they like to throw the football, I feel like defensively we have some better matchups.
Salento looking for the home run ball. Lamont Seward had a step, but Salento may have not only let it go too early, he did not give it enough air underneath and overthrows Seward.
Well, big play number 3, Derek Black. I mean, we've said a lot about Derek Black. We've talked about the defensive front, but in the secondary, Derek Black is probably one of the better corners in this league. I mean, he's coming with a lot of big plays. We saw the Furman play. He's scored touchdowns. He's blocked kicks. He's done an awful lot for this defense. This kid is a very fine corner.
So now Salento and Western face the 3rd and 7 from the shotgun, and he's got a receiver, Michael Reeder, who's got the first down.
But Cornasser, 45, Scott Cornasser comes up and makes the play. And it's good because the ball was caught in space. The receiver had nowhere to go, and a lot of times when a pass is caught in space, it's very hard for the defender to come up and make the tackle in space. But this is a sure tackle by a sure tackler, because he's one of the better tacklers on his defense.
Reeder gets the first down, but nothing more because of the tackle. 1st and 10 at the 27-yard line of Appalachian. Salento, again out of the shotgun, wants to throw. Has a man open. It's Todd Bargala, the tight end. And all of a sudden, Western is moving.
Well, this is what happens when you start to hit some things. You start to gain a little confidence, and you start to feel pretty good about what you're doing, because Salento, he's patient, he reads the defense, and wide open receiver. I mean, they have a very good offense, as you stated, number 1 in the Southern Conference. But so far today, John Wiley has dissected this offense, and his defense has been up to par.
Well, Bargala off the field, wide receivers out there. Salento again wants to throw over the middle. It's incomplete, tight coverage by Jonathan Lyles.
But he was looking for Michael Banks. I mean, Banks sort of hesitated. When he hesitated, I think that threw the timing off, and Salento really wasn't sure where that receiver was going to be, so he tried to gun it, and nobody was there, because I think there was a mix-up in where I'm supposed to be and where I'm going to be by the receiver.
Bargala back into the game. 2 wide receivers, top of your screen. 3rd and less than a yard for Western, inside the Appalachian 20-yard line. And Deschantiers tries to find running room, gets the first down inside the 15-yard line, and Western Carolina moves the chains again. Nigel Rogers going for a ride on the tackle.
It was a big play, but 64, Caleb Queen, the best offensive lineman on the Catamounts. He got away with one because he held KT Stovall, but sometimes you get away with it. But nice play by the offense, and they're still alive.
1st and 10 down at the 12-yard line of Appalachian. Salento and Western Carolina with their best drive of the day thus far. Inside 2 minutes to play, 2nd quarter. Western trailing by 10. And Salento wants to throw. The action fools absolutely nobody. Guess who? Josh Jeffries with help from his buddy John Menino.
But also, don't forget about 93 KT Stovall, because he was there too, so we have to give him his. The defensive ends, see, they're just pressuring the quarterback, closing down the pocket. And in that case, Jeffries, he just knocks off the offensive tackle and he just gets there. I mean, these guys can't be stopped right now in front because they are just teeing off because why not? This is a passing team. Rush the passer, 2 ends, a lot of sacks. Hey, keep coming.
Loss of 5. Salento on the run has an open man toward the end zone, and it's overthrown, incomplete. Brendan Roy had a step, but Salento was running
for his life
and throwing off the wrong foot.
And when you're running for your life, it's kind of hard to set your feet, but he should have set his feet and taken the blow. I mean, you got a guy wide open, perfect field position. This football team must come away, I think, with 7 points. I don't think they need 3. I think they need 7 to feel pretty good going in at the half.
I was going to say, really running the wrong way for a right-handed quarterback. And now a huge 3rd down situation. The sack and the incompletion leaves Western 3rd and 15. Salento under pressure again. Down he goes as he throws the football, nearly intercepted by Carter, but it's incomplete.
But you saw him set his feet. I mean, that's what he should have done on the previous play. But also Jason Hunter, 97, a pure pass rusher. And that's what I like right now out of this App State defense. They are rotating the defensive front, keeping fresh pass rushers in there, and that's why they're wreaking a lot of havoc out there.
Well, they're not going for 7 on the lengthy 4th down situation. They're trying to get on the board before the end of the first half. Chris Vogt on, and he's picked up the loose football, running for his life. A flag is down, but once again, a botched situation for Western Carolina, and it looks like a great opportunity may have gone by the board.
Well, it was a bad snap. I mean, anytime you have a bad snap, wet ball, as a center, you make sure the ball is dry.
But offside against Appalachian, and Western may get another opportunity here. Here's the snap up high, and the punter, Stanton Horn, not able to handle it, and Vogt does all he can at this point.
Well, Scott Kornhasser is not going to let him get to the outside.
Defense, line up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
James Hancock, number 61, to center on this play. He should ask for a dry ball. Because if the ball is wet, they will give you another ball because I'm pretty sure it is wet because it's wet out there. And this is very crucial for this football team because they haven't done an awful lot all day, and it gives them points.
Well, Vogt is the top scoring kicker in the Southern Conference, and all of a sudden, he gets to try a 30-yarder, and all sorts of a mess up there on the snap and the hold. Vogt wants to know what's going on because he was ready, but those around him were not.
Well, Stanton Horn, number 11, is holder. He bobbles the football, and I think that knocked off his timing. You see Black here, he's down. And I don't think this team can lose Derek Black because he's one of their better corners.
That would be a huge loss. We've talked about what a big play guy that Derek Black is. But Kent Briggs watching his team try to get on the board, but so far little is going right for Western Carolina as it trails 10-0. Welcome back to Western Carolina, where the Catamounts are trailing Appalachian 10-0 in the closing moments of the second quarter. Now, ACC Sunday Night Hoops returns to Fox Sports Net beginning December 1st. The Temple Owls take on Wake Forest in a showdown between perennial powers. ACC Sunday Night Hoops tips off December 1st right here on Fox Sports Net. Tom Brenneman and former Duke All-American Mike Jaminski will have the call as we get to see Atlantic 10 and ACC. Wow, it's college basketball season again, and it's here on Fox Sports Net.
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And there's Jerry Beard. Let's go down to Jim Noble.
Well, guys, Jerry Beard is going to miss at least the last 41.8 seconds of this first half. He banged his left ankle on that last series by App State. They've got a lot of ice on it. Jerry Beard's in a lot of pain right now. They're going to try to walk him to the locker room at halftime, put some more ice on it at halftime, see if he can come back in the second half. Looks like a sprain.
All right, they can ill afford to lose him. Jose White on to replace him, and Burchett trying to run out of trouble, picks up a couple. Nick McNeil causing him the problem. Coming up at halftime, please stick around. We'll take a look at the history of the Southern Conference and have some stories on this rivalry from someone who's seen just about every one of them for the last 40 plus years, except 1968 when he was in Vietnam. We'll also take a look back at some of the memorable moments from our coverage of college football this season. And man, there have been plenty there. We'll have a look at the first half highlights, analysis, comments from both coaches. They're playing for the Old Mountain Jug coming up at halftime, and we've reached it as the clock is going down. And let's go down to Jim Noble with Appalachian head coach Jerry Moore.
All right, Coach Moore, you're up 10-0. Got to be happy about that. Could have been a lot more. Penalties and turnovers kind of bit you in the first half, but how do you feel overall?
You just said it all. I think we're tickled. It was pleased it's 10-0, but our mistakes, the personal, not personal fouls, and just the mistakes that we made kept us from probably getting more points. The penalties and mistakes.
I know you want to concentrate on this one. Do you want to know the score of the Furman-Wofford score or not?
It didn't make any difference. Okay. It didn't make us a bit of difference. We knew what we got to do, what we had to do when we came in here. I could care less about any of the other scores around the country, and our ball club thinks that. We know what we got to do.
Finally, your defensive line outstanding in that first half.
They're playing well right now. They sure are. We got a good, tough half coming up, though.
Coach, thanks very much. We'll see you in the second half. Guys, we'll tell you the score of that Furman-Wofford game. Also, when we come back, we will bring you our college football plays of the year. You will not want to miss this one at the half. Appalachian State 10, Western Carolina nothing. You're watching Southern Conference football on Fox Sports Net. I know you see some strange things in the mountains sometimes, but nothing strange about this score if you're an Appalachian State fan. 10-0 over Western Carolina. Could App State be 30 minutes away from a playoff spot? We will have to see what transpires in the second half here in Cullowhee. Well, of course, in the Southern Conference, folks, it's all about rivalries.
Here at Western Carolina, Joe Burchett has had the early advantage over Pat Salento and company for Western Carolina, which came into this game with the top passing offense in the Southern Conference, but has not been able to get on track yet. It's been a defensive-dominated game. 10-0 Appalachian. We're ready to kick off the second half as Western Carolina receives the kick, and Michael Banks is in business, looking for running room. Make that Scooter Dalton or Xavier Goddard. And good field position for Western Carolina right out of the gap. Now, let's take a look at our Microtel ins and suites first half stats. And to me, Ethan, total offense just jumps off the board. Western Carolina held to 57 total yards on 27 plays.
Well, we've already talked about it. The defense of the Mountaineers, they've come out and just pretty much stymied this offense. They've pretty much controlled, dominated the first half defensively, and that's why you have what you have when you look at this Catamount offense, which is nothing.
Well, Pat Salento started the game, and he'll start the second half. Manny Deschantiers popped just at the line of scrimmage, and yes, he's a tough runner, but the way things have gone, KT Stovall making him be tough today.
I like that, Paul. That's very good. No, but up front, we talked about Stovall, Menino, Jeffries, and now you throw in Leon Moore, number 90. I mean, they've controlled the line of scrimmage, and I think that's why they've dominated, because of those four guys.
Second and long, Salento again out of the shotgun, but has to try to step up, and off the wrong foot is not able to deliver the football.
Well, he hasn't had a lot of time. Although App only has 2 sacks, they've applied a lot of pressure. And anytime you get after the quarterback, as they have, in applying pressure, you force this guy into situations he's uncomfortable with. At the same time, you take away the running game, because now the backs are having to block, and they're not really looking to rush the football.
Western's line has done a great job on the year, and considering the defensive line here, a pretty good job today. Again, Salento with time tries to hit Lamont Seward, but he was double covered, and that's incomplete.
Well, it's good to see that Derek Black is back in the game, and also Nigel Rogers. He went for the big kill, and you touched on it, Paul. This offense, coming into this game, they had only given up 11 sacks, which is very good. But the pressure, I think, is what's getting into the minds of the quarterbacks, and their timing. I think they're thinking we have to get rid of it quickly. We can't hold it. We can't really let things develop, and that's why they're rushing their throws.
And Josh Jeffries has added to that sack total today with 2, so it's 13 on the season. Still pretty good, but it's 3 and out on the first possession for Western Carolina. Horn to punt to Devon Folks. No fair catch here. Folks wants to run, but he's going the wrong direction. Shakes some would-be tacklers. This the right direction now. Devon Folks with one man to beat, and a saving tackle by Brendan Roy. And good field position for Appalachian now.
A various kick returner, big play. And Coach Kent Briggs talked about the Catamounts coach. We do not want to kick him the football. We want to kick away from him because he's so elusive. He gives his team great field position. And not only that, he can also go the distance, which he has done before. I mean, this guy is very small. He's a very small football player. He's shifty. And you see here, he changes direction very well, and that's why he's able to gain a lot of yards on punt returns.
Well, Jerry Beard still out of the game. Jose White, deep man in the backfield for Joe Burchett, and White with the football. Across midfield, and he's got a couple of yards. Let's go down to Jim Noble.
As you said, the news isn't all good for Appalachian State. Senior running back Jerry Beard has come out of the locker room on crutches, a very, very tender left ankle. They did not x-ray it, although they said they may have to when they get back to Boone. Does not look like Jerry Beard will be back, which leaves a lot of the task up to Sean Jackson and Chris Thomas the rest of the way.
And I'm not so sure that I'm not going to say they can't handle the load, because I think they can, but at the same time, these guys aren't big enough to go north and south between the tackles, so I think App State, they're going to be forced to make some changes.
Well, Jose White, a 5'7" senior, gets the call again, tries to go outside. Mitch Hall on the tackle. White not able to get there. It'll be 3rd and long.
And that's what I'm talking about. If you take 6'2", 210, into the lineup, into the secondary, into the front, now you have a much larger guy, a big guy that's going to deliver a lot of blows. And now you bring in smaller backs, which are much easier to tackle, and you saw there, White tried to get to the outside, but there was no room for no gain opposed to going north and south downhill.
Well, coming into the day, White had only carried the ball 16 times, and he's already getting some work today, and you can see Joe Burchett getting some work as Michael Spicer comes off his defensive end position and brings him down.
Well, coming into the game, here's a kid that had 10 sacks, and now he has 11 sacks on the season. And the coaches of the Catamount said, we can't block him in practice, so we hope going into ball games they can't block him either. On that particular play, he wasn't blocked.
Michael Banks drops to receive the punt from Nate McKinney, and McKinney doesn't get it there. It takes a Western bounce around the 30-yard line, so Western will start from there. Early moments of the 3rd quarter. Western Carolina looking to get on the board when we come back. Southern Conference football on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by your Carolina Ford dealers, driving the Carolinas. By Microtel Inns and Suites. Microtel, get a room. By Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi. And by Buy Low Supermarkets, everybody's favorite way to save. It's beautiful here in the mountains of North Carolina, despite the overcast skies and earlier rain. We've had an outstanding emotional football game, but earlier today, North Carolina's Senator-elect Elizabeth Dole paid a visit to Western Carolina. Mrs. Dole came to tour the school's technology facility, which is one of the best in the country. Little did she know, she was also stepping into the outskirts of one of the best rivalries in the state of North Carolina as well. Technology inside and a lot of action outside where it's cold and wet, and technologically speaking, the defense has really been working well on both sides of the ball, even though Appalachian has the goose egg up on the board for Western thus far.
They have it in Catamounts offensively. This is their best field position when you look at trying to drive the football. Right before the half, they were able to get a turnover. They received no points, so now they have a chance to do something with it.
And again, Salento wants to throw. Flags on the play, though Chris Lane makes the catch. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it goes against the defense. They were offsides.
Anxious, perhaps?
Very anxious. If I could apply a lot of pressure, as they've done so far, I probably would be anxious too. Add to the sack totals. to the quarterback hurries. It's that type of ball game. Because I think they're trying to figure out the cadence. I realize the Catamounts like to use 2 different quarterbacks.
We'll see what Ed Rhodes has to say.
Offside against the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Oh, quickly something going right for Western, whose possessions in this game have not gone well. In the first half, they had 3 punts, 2 interceptions, and a missed field goal. So far, it was 3 and out here in the second half. This, their second time with the ball, and Pat Salento still the quarterback. And he's the one who has actually moved the team today. Calls his own number, looks for running room, gets the first down. If it was a broken play, it got fixed quickly.
Well, he picked up the first down. I don't think it was a broken play, Paul. I think now the Catamounts have decided to move the pocket to give him a little more room, because as long as he stays back there, they can apply pressure. But if you make those defensive linemen, the linebackers run to a spot, now he has a little more time, and he's buying time to see those receivers down the field.
Leon Moore and Jarrell Carter on the tackle, but a first down for Western at its own 41-yard line. Salento wants to throw, has a man, Brian Rucker, the tight end, and it's a solid pickup, though shy of the first down, and all of a sudden some good things are starting to happen for the Catamounts.
Well, Steve Kitchens, 29, he stays in his zone, but also Rucker, he comes back. He went out early with the sprained ankle. They taped it up, but I'm glad this guy is back in the game, because this kid is definitely a receiver at tight end, and I think he can give this offense something of a receiver down the field and another option.
Salento facing a 2nd and 5, gives it to Deshaun Tears. Again, we've talked about how tough he is. He's hit just behind the line of scrimmage, but is strong enough to turn it into a positive gain, and it'll be 3rd and short.
Well, I think they'll come back with the rush on the ground. But also, there's a receiver out there, Michael Banks, number 10. I mean, coming into the game at 41 receptions, a senior, one of the best receivers in this league. And defensive coordinator John Wiley has really taken him out of this ball game.
3rd and 4 for Salento, who looks off one, throws into triple coverage, and has a man good enough for the first down. He thread that needle to Lamont Seward.
Well, Menino and Hunter right there in the backfield. But Salento, he takes his time. He doesn't rush things. He doesn't feel the rush. He takes the hit, but he delivers the pass, and I think that's the most important thing, is now this offense is starting to get into a groove, and now they're starting to move down the field.
Seward's first catch of the day. And Salento again in trouble. Not able to get out of it this time. Jason Hunter, the first man to him.
You can't ask Deshaun Tears, 32, to block a defensive end. In this case, Jason Hunter, 97. I mean, he just can't do it because physically he's not big enough. See the power rush, the bull rush? I mean, it's like, get out of the way, little back. I'm trying to get to the quarterback, and he does.
And John Menino comes to finish him off. The football got loose, and Salento is fortunate to have fallen on top of it.
I mean, he's not being given a lot of time out there, Paul. I mean, his decision-making must be very quickly, sharp, crisp, get the ball out, because those guys up front, they're coming.
3rd sack of the day for Appalachian. Salento, 2nd and long, wants to throw, has a man. Gets some positive yardage as Michael Reeder makes the catch, but he'll still be well short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and long.
Well, that time, Leon Moore on the inside. He gets some push, but a smart play by Salento by moving to his right, just to buy a little time, and just that little movement, just those 2 or 3 steps, will enable him to get the ball out there for a nice completion.
Salento with help in the backfield. 3rd and 8 for Western Carolina. In Appalachian territory, a flag goes down, and there was some miscommunication there because Lamont Seward was nowhere near the place Salento threw the football, but we'll see what the penalty is.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't there. But also, you look at the defensive front. You mentioned being anxious. Again, offsides. Jerry Moore talked about the penalties. This time, defensively, they are giving yardage to the offense.
Offside against the defense. Yard penalty. Repeat now.
And now the flag is starting to work against the defense. In the first half, it worked against the offense, taking them out of great field position. In this case, it's giving the Catamounts great field position and better field position because that was an incomplete pass, and you touched on it also, Paul, that a mix-up between the quarterback and receiver.
And we talked earlier about how Appalachian, each of the last 2 weeks, has had double-digit penalties. So that problem is continuing in a game the Mountaineers can ill afford to let get away. Up 10-0, mid-third quarter. Third and long turns into third and short for Salento. And Western Carolina has the first down as Manny Deschantiers once again just powers his way for what's needed.
He does with 58. Josh Jeffries makes the tackle. And with this offense being in third and short situations, it gives them a chance to make the first downs because they haven't done an awful lot on the ground. They haven't done anything through the air. But as long as they can stay in those type of situations, they have a better chance of advancing the ball down the field.
We'll see how patient they can be as they are inside the 35 of Appalachian. Salento again from the shotgun. Wants the home run ball, and he's got Michael Banks. Touchdown. There you go. He beats Derek Black, and just like that, the Catamounts are on the board.
I just mentioned Michael Banks. But where is Michael Banks coming into the game? He hasn't done anything. I mean, here's a guy who's a two-time all-conference performer, so you know he has some ability. And although this offense has been struggling, they haven't been looking for number 10. And when you have problems, you go out and you find your big play guy and say, make a play for me, and this time he does. I think Derek Black thought he was going to the inside. He was looking inside, and Banks broke back to the outside, and that's why they were able to get that completion.
Remember what I mentioned about patience? Forget about that. The extra point is good, and Western Carolina has pulled within 3. An 8-play drive covering 70 yards, a 33-yard touchdown catch from Pat Salento to Michael Banks. And Western Carolina... Michael Banks with a nice touchdown catch. A 33-yarder has put Western Carolina on the board and cut the Appalachian lead to 10-7 here in the third quarter. Banks, the latest to lead this team in receptions, but they had a great one in the early 70s in Jerry Gaines. 15 times he went over 100 yards in a game. Once he went over 200. He's the school's career reception leader, averaging more than 20 yards a catch, which is still tops all time for Western Carolina. An All-American in 1974. He was also an All-American outfielder in 75 when he hit 404. His jersey, number 23, was retired in the 70s. Its banner placed up on the wall here at Whitmire Stadium just last year. And Jerry Gaines still remembered in a very fond way here at Western Carolina.
I like the afro. For all these kids out there that think it's new with the braids, the afro, taking a look at Jerry Gaines to let you know back in the 70s, back in the day, well, my earlier days, that's the look. Well, that was the look.
Sure, Link with the Mod Squad.
That's right.
Jerry Gaines, Oscar Gamble in the major leagues. You bet it was. Western kicking off. And Appalachian from the goal line. Jermaine Little lost the football, but he was down. This fall, get your NFL fix a day earlier with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you've ever seen. This week, Michael Irvin, Tony Siragusa, and comedian Tommy Davidson are joined by actor, rapper, and Raiders fan Ice Cube. Plus, Tommy visits Goose's old stomping grounds in Baltimore. So start your NFL weekend the night before kickoff with the NFL show presented by the U.S. Postal Service. Tonight, after the Iowa State-Colorado game, only on Fox Sports Net. Joe Burchett and company quickly come out of the gate, throwing the football and moving the football as Sterling Hayward makes the catch and a pickup of about 4 or 5.
Well, Burchett comes back to his favorite receiver. And I think this offense is really going to stay on the ground, safe passes, and Joe Burchett is going to have to throw the football, but he's going to have to complete the passes, unlike the first half when he was a little off with open wide receivers.
10,321 fans braving the weather here in Cullowhee, North Carolina to see what's been a hard-hitting and fierce football game. Sean Jackson gets a whole lot of nothing as Mitch Hall brings him down, and all of a sudden, Ethan, that pendulum of momentum is swinging to the Catamount side.
Well, big plays. Now the crowd has gotten into the ball game. The rain has stopped. Jerry Beard no longer a factor in the game. When you see a small guy in Sean Jackson defensively, you're not afraid because he may outrun you, but he's not going to wear you down. on a day like today, you want that back that's going to wear you down, and Sean Jackson isn't that back.
Well, Jackson leaves the game. Jose White comes in. 3rd and 10 now for Joe Burchett and the Mountaineers from their own 31-yard line. Burchett in trouble. Now tries to run for it, slides inside the 40. He'll be shy of the first down. Mitch Hall again applying pressure.
Well, for the first time, he goes down. I mean, smart play by the quarterback because the pocket breaks down right in front of him, and it collapses. He finds a little seam, and you're probably thinking, where are the linebackers? They're in coverage. But he doesn't get the first down, so they'll have to punt.
Michael Banks awaiting the punt. Takes it at his 17 and looks for running room. But East-West turns into a problem. He loses a couple, and Western Carolina will start from deep in its own territory. And Joe Burchett, unhappy with the way this second half has gone. We've seen it from him before. He needs time to throw the football.
He does also. He will need a running game. But they're in a football game now. You mentioned momentum. The Catamounts, they found it. I mean, the players, if you look at the bench, they're now standing. They're cheering. Offensively, they have a chance to put more points on the board. But defensively, I think they've gone in and made some changes, and that's why they've been able to stop this offense.
Pat Salento remains the Catamounts quarterback. Out of the shotgun, overthrows his intended receiver, Lamont Seward, and that was just a misplay. Seward had a step on Derek Black, but he was not exactly open.
Well, anytime a player gives up a big play, in this case, Derek Black has, you come back and attack him again because you're thinking maybe his confidence is just a little shaken. Let's try him again. Maybe we can get him on the same route, but this time the pass is overthrown, but I guarantee you they're coming back to Derek Black,
who may be on his heels just a bit. 2nd and 10 for Western Carolina at its own 15-yard line. Midway through the 3rd quarter, Western down by 3. Salento wants to throw again, throws to the left side, and again overthrows Derek Black on the coverage.
Well, he's taking the challenge. I think he senses it. Okay, you beat me for one. As a corner, you have to have not a very good memory because that play is over. In the past 2 plays, so far they've gone back to attack Black. He's been there because he senses, okay, you guys want to come after me. Come on. I have a big play in me. I have several in me. If you keep challenging me, you're going to find out because I'm going to take one the other way.
And they keep switching the receivers on Derek Black. Michael Reeder over there, bottom of your screen. Salento, with time, goes to the other side of the field, looking for Michael Banks, who reaches up and makes an outstanding catch. It's a matter of whether he was or was not in bounds, and he was not.
He was not in bounds, but I tell you what, that was an outstanding catch. I don't care where you can get that. That was a heck of a catch at Salento. He took a big hit from John Menino. He paid for it. They didn't pick up the first down, but that catch right there, that's big league. I mean, he's out of bounds.
That's Chris Lane, I should say. I saw the 0. It's not Michael Banks. Chris Lane on the nice grab.
Well, maybe next time. I mean, you like the effort.
An outstanding effort it was, but it leaves Western in a punting situation. Devon Folks awaits the punt from Stanton Horn, takes it just shy of midfield, crosses midfield, looks for running room but finds none. But again, Appalachian will start in good field position. The emotions have peaked as Appalachian and Western play for the Old Mountain Jug, and we've got a ball game in the 3rd quarter. What a game this has become here at Western Carolina. Midway through the 3rd quarter, Appalachian's lead has been cut to 10-7. Critics are calling the Best Damn Sports Show period a 2-hour frat party with irreverent skits, insightful interviews, and sharp locker room banter. The Best Damn Sports Show period, every weeknight at 8 and 11, only on Fox Sports Net. And what we've got here is a pretty good football game. Appalachian, which took a 10-0 lead to the locker room, has not been able to muster much offensively so far in the second half, Ethan, but the Mountaineers start with great field position at Western's 45-yard line here with just over 6.5 minutes to play. in the third quarter.
Well, Appalachian 2 yards of offense, not very good. And I think this is a big defensive stand because it definitely could change the complexion of this football game.
Joey Hoover, the ball carrier, the fullback, fights across the 40. Out of bounds around the 37-yard line. That a pretty good run as Deontay Cook pushed him out of bounds. Let's go downstairs to Jim Noble.
All right, guys, thank you. It's a big game for everybody here in Cullowhee, but no bigger than for the Heron family of Moorhead City. James and Cookie, their sons are out there. I want to know, do you watch the game or do you watch Lewis and Thomas go at it there?
Well, normally we try to keep up with each other, keep up with both of them, but right now we're trying to see Western get back in the game. It's pretty exciting, so kind of watching the game and them both.
Okay, they're lining up here. Give me a little play-by-play of that individual one-on-one battle right here.
Let's see. Well, it's kind of hard to see right now, this angle, but can't really tell what happened there, to tell you the truth.
All right, Mom, I've got to think that's the toughest job of all, to watch two sons go at it, two sons in the trenches trying to beat each other's brains out.
I never thought this would happen. I almost wish we would have had one freshman, redshirt freshman. But I knew it was going to be hard. I never thought it was hard.
Get your hand out of my damn shot. The Herons are having a good time, I think, but they'll be happy with it over.
Well, I think they can be happy on the one sense that Joe Burchett followed Thomas Heron on the quarterback sneak to pick up the first down, but Lewis Heron back in there now. The football pops loose, and we'll see what happens. I will say we've talked about how Josh Jeffries has been a quarterback's nightmare. I think son against son is a mother's nightmare. Michael Spicer in on that play. App keeps the football.
No, you're right. If I'm a parent, I love this because I get a chance to see both of my sons play, and I don't have to worry about being at one university one day, one university the following week. You get a chance to come to one spot and see them both play, and it's got to be exciting.
Thomas wears number 50 in white. Lewis, number 96 in the purple. The pass here completed to Sterling Hayward, who fights for yardage. Does not get enough for a first down, so it'll be third and probably 6 or 7 yards. Ahmed Green on the tackle.
Well, the Catamounts defense, they played well all day. I mean, Appalachian, they've had very good field position at times. Defensively, the Catamounts, they've withstood the charge. But I also feel like Appalachian, they've changed their mindset offensively. They're going to use Joey Hoover as their big back, give him the football because this is a guy that doesn't carry the football. So far, he's carried an awful lot, but now it's a passing situation. So Joe Burchett, he'll get a chance to throw the football.
Jose White, the lone setback. Burchett uses him for a play action, overthrows his intended receiver, Daniel Bettis, and there's Pat Leach. Once again, the strong safety breaking things up, but that pass was not delivered.
Well, it wasn't a lot of room, and he tried to gun it in there. Defensively, there was coverage behind the receiver. There was coverage in front of Bettis. So in order to complete the pass, put a little air under it, and maybe you can drop it in the bucket, but gunning it in there, you can't throw it through defensive players.
Well, from the 32, all sorts of confusion here as Appalachian comes out in punt formation, but hold on just a moment.
Appalachian State, they're first.
Appalachian calls a timeout, and we'll talk things over.
Well, they're trying to figure out, Paul, do we pooch punt it? Are we too far away for a field goal? I mean, so they're trying to figure out where they want to go with this football. What decision will we make that they made the right call by talking about it, and that's why they called a timeout.
Well, you talked about how Western has done so well. There's a great tradition here, and there's a man who is very remembered very well. We're at Bob Waters Field. Bob Waters was the head coach at Western Carolina for 20 years. During that time, he had 13 winning seasons. Prior to his arrival, the school had a total of 5. But Bob Waters was about more than wins and losses. He was a man who was a great coach, an even better person. He affected so many lives even before he came down with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, current head coach Kent Briggs, a former player and assistant under Waters, remembers his former coach never giving up and an attitude he had as a coach. And then when he was battling the disease, he says Waters thought he was going to beat that disease until the day he died, which was in 1989, a week shy of his 51st birthday, less than 3 months after he had to step down as athletic director. Bob Waters' memory lives on, not just here at Bob Waters Field, but through all the people he touched in his days at Western Carolina. And now Appalachian is ready to try the short punt, and it works to near perfection inside the 5. So Western Carolina, in the battle of field position, starts in a huge hole.
Nate McKinney, outstanding punt. Because normally when you have that short distance, when you're a punter, you don't know where to kick it very high, kick it to the coffin corner, but he put just enough on it for the ball to die right inside the 5-yard line. Now the Catamounts still have to drive the length of the field for a score, but smart play. I mean, very good play by the punter, because that's a very hard kick to make that ball just die there opposed to bouncing into the end zone.
You're right about that. And huge field position hole for Western. And again, Pat Salento comes out as the quarterback. Coach Briggs told us yesterday his plan was to use Salento for 2 series and then to use Gaither for 2 series, but obviously he's abandoned the plan because Salento has had a fairly hot hand. Manny DeShontiers trying to find something inside, but not much of anything there.
No, nothing there. I think going back to the quarterbacks, with the game being so close, I think Coach Briggs has made a decision, and he may come back with Brian Gaither. I have to find a quarterback. I have to find someone to go with because time is winding down, and I got to get a guy out there that the players will feel comfortable with and a guy that they think that can lead them to victory.
2nd and long, Michael Banks lined up at the bottom of your screen, wide left against Derek Black. Salento taking his time from his own end zone. And the give goes to DeShontiers. Along the goal line till he turns it north, pushes the pile back across the 5-yard line. Nigel Rogers in on the tackle, and Western will have a little more breathing room to work with on 3rd down.
Well, just a little bit. They like something along the right side because they've run that play time and time again. But also, when you look at the defensive front of the Mountaineers, their pursuit is so good, they're cutting off the lanes, and the back has nowhere to go. He can't really turn his shoulders up. He's running parallel to the line of scrimmage.
Salento on the move again, and the pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. Jarrell Carter knocking it down, and now Western will have to punt from its own end zone.
Well, let's hope they punt the ball away from Devon Folks because he's going to be at about midfield. He's already given his team field position on several other punts. I would not kick him the football. Punt the ball away from him and force the offense to get going because offensively, App State, they've done nothing so far this half.
Coach Briggs talked about practicing that, but doing it in the game is difficult. Horn does have a 70-yard punt this season against Georgia Southern, and Western could certainly use a big one here because Folks stands at his 50-yard line. A pretty good punt. Folks with a fair catch at the 50. And everyone looking for that 2-yard halo. And it looks like Western may have violated it once again.
Well, I don't agree with that one. Now, I agree with the first one. I don't agree with this one because Folks moved in the direction of the defender. I mean, he had already established his lane coming down the field, and I think that's a bad call if it's going against the defense.
Pat Leach among those very upset about the call. And we'll get another look. So you be the judge. A 43-yard punt. And
See,
Folks coming over with a fair catch.
Catch interference against the kicking team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
See, I think the ball took Folks to the defense on that side. And that's why they were able to get the flag because Alford right there, if he hadn't put his hands up, I don't think they would have called it. And now there's another penalty, and it could be against the Western bench. Because I know the coaches are upset about that call.
We have a sideline warning against Western Carolina. That is their first. There's no penalty.
One of the Western assistants just a little upset. He will have to control himself, the bench will. We've talked about the emotions of this rivalry and how Western is playing for pride. Losers in this series, 16 of the last 17 years. Appalachian fighting to make the 1AA playoffs. Great field position at the 38-yard line. Sean Jackson. First down and running room. Sean Jackson, touchdown Appalachian.
Great blocking along the left side, but after the blocking was established, nice acceleration by 24. Because Jackson, he just takes off. And notice, the ball wasn't run between the tackles. It was run to his strength, to the outside, and you let him use his speed. Joey Hoover, 41, the fullback, he leads him, picks up a big block, and Jackson just follows him, and he takes it to pay dirt.
The diminutive Sean Jackson, who is so tough to see sometimes behind the big lines. By the time you pick him up, it's way too late. The point after is good, and all of a sudden Appalachian is back up by 10.
Well, he followed his blocking perfectly. Play to the left, something they've run the entire afternoon. See, Hoover gets his block, and now it's just off to the races. He picks up a big block by Jason LeMay as tight end, and he tight ropes the sideline, 6 points. The block on the corner is the key because it gets him to the outside. You have two defenders, you have two offensive players. Hoover has one, Jackson has the other. And see, nobody else is there. See the inside seal to the right? Everything is cut off to the inside, so defensively they can't get out there. LeMay just gets a piece of Dunlap, and now it's 6 points.
And that's enough to spring the speedy Sean Jackson, who goes to pay dirt. And again, Appalachian back up by 10.
Well, you look at the penalty. I think that hurt this defense because they played well. As I've said before, Sean Jackson, a touchdown, 44 yards, no Jerry Beard, so someone must carry the load. But I think that penalty hurt the defense because it put the offense in better field position, and they took advantage of it.
Sean Jackson helping fill that hole extremely well. And Western Carolina, which had really played extremely well here in the second half in particular, and had really grabbed that pendulum of momentum, is now going to have to fight to get it back.
Well, they only had 2 yards on offense. I mean, App State, 2 yards, they haven't done anything. So you have to say defensively, we've done our job. And now they've come back with a big play on the offensive side. And now the Catamounts will have to go back down and put some points on the board because this game is far from over. And all they need is a drive
and
of some sort.
Assistant coach Matt Rule, the one we showed on the sideline, who perhaps had trouble controlling his emotions, and that penalty certainly didn't help Western Carolina. Which takes the kick to the 35-yard line or so, and Western will have decent field position to start things there.
Well, I think they're going to have to come out offensively and throw the ball down the field. I think they're going to have to continue to move the pocket, give Salento some time, because the defensive rush has been there all day, and they have to put together a drive. They haven't been able to run the ball, so I think they should go more of their short passing game, 3 steps, maybe 5 steps, get the ball out, and maybe they can move the chains.
Approaching the 2.5-minute mark of the third quarter, Appalachian back on top of Western Carolina, 17-7, and Pat Salento remains the Catamount quarterback. From their own 32. Salento in trouble again, and again he's heading down. John Menino, first man to him, and that is a huge, huge loss.
Yes, it is. The same guys. We've called out the same names all afternoon. John Menino, Josh Jeffries, Jason Hunter, KT Snowball. The front wall of this defense, they've played well. And see, when you get into the shotgun, you take away your short passing game because you're back there 5 to 7 yards deep already, but you got to have some short passes.
So second and long for Salento out of the shotgun. Again, not much time before the pocket breaks down, so he heads straight ahead, and he gets popped by Scott Kornatzer, but he does get back to the original line of scrimmage.
And also Jarrell Carter. I mean, defensively in the secondary and as linebackers, when you see a quarterback in the shotgun, you're just reacting to the pass because there's no threat of a run unless it's misdirection. And see, they're taking away all of his lanes in terms of the deep lanes because they're not running anything shallow and underneath. The linebackers really have no responsibility.
3rd and 10, Salento heading to the sidelines, wondering what is the play as he approaches the 10-second mark on the play clock. Salento from the shotgun again. This time he's got time, nearly picked off by Derek Black. Lamont Seward, the intended receiver, but the Catamounts are lucky that one didn't come back.
Well, I told you. You keep picking on a guy, he gets confident, he wants to challenge. Black almost comes up with a big play. They're still working on it. They're probably going to come back because he has given up a few plays, but this time he guesses right and he almost comes up with one for his defensive teammates.
Instead, Stanton Horn into punt again. Devon Folks waiting. Pretty good punt. Folks takes it at his 30, and he is dropped almost immediately. A fine tackle by Rod Dunlap.
Dunlap's been all over the field. And he's rushed the passer in passing situations from his outside linebacker spot. He's played the run very well, and now he's come up with a big play on defense. I mean, he's been one of the stars, I think, of this afternoon when you look at that defense making plays.
A 38-yard punt. Folks loses a yard on the return. Appalachian starts at its own 30-yard line and goes right back to Sean Jackson, who tries to turn the corner on the left side, but there Stephen Nace was waiting for him.
When you have success, you go back and you try it again. Now, there's a different feel because they're in a different part of the field. I think the reason it worked before because they had great field position on the other side of the 50. But if you've seen it before and you've given up a touchdown, you're going to react just a little better, and defensively the Catamounts did.
Appalachian obviously making them make that play. Burchett from the shotgun. 2nd and 6, closing moments of the third quarter. Burchett with time, finds Andrew Layton over the middle, close to the first down at the 40-yard line. Mitch Hall on the tackle.
So there's no pressure on the offense now because they're up by 10, and they're going to rush the football, but they don't have that big guy, as I said before, so they must throw some shorter passes to at least move the chains and feel like, let's get the ball in the hands of our best players, which are our receivers, and let's try to move the chains without really using a lot of time in terms of the backs carrying the football, so they're going to work the ball underneath.
And we've got 15 minutes of football left here in Cullowhee, North Carolina. It has been a good one. Western Carolina coming out of the locker room as Pat Salento hit Michael Banks to pull the Catamounts within 3 before Sean Jackson was able to turn the corner for 38 yards. We've got a 10-point game as we head to the fourth quarter.
15 minutes to go here in Cullowhee. Appalachian State 17, Western Carolina 7. A lot of you are watching Joey Hoover, the fullback, the senior fullback for Appalachian State, and many of you know that he is the brother of current Carolina Panther fullback Brad Hoover, who played here at Western Carolina. Now, a lot of people thought that Joey would follow Brad's footsteps here to Cullowhee, but Joey decided to blaze his own trail up to Boone, which is just fine with Big Brother.
Both App and Western recruited him pretty heavily, and I just felt like that he didn't want to follow in my footsteps, I guess, at Western. So he decided to go to App, which I told him, App's a good program, but you know what, we're going to face each other. So, I think he made a good choice. I mean, I would like for him to go to Western and sort of follow in my footsteps, but he's done well at App, and I'm really happy for him.
Well, Brad only won the jug once in his days here at Western Carolina. He may be getting the big NFL payday, guys, but Joey's about to take the jug home for the 3rd time if this lead holds up.
Well, Joey has done such a nice job today, Jim, having to take on added responsibilities with Jerry Beard going out of the ball game. Appalachian starting at its own 40-yard line, and Burchett dumps it out to Jose White. Jose White finds some running room. Flags fly everywhere. White's still standing. And White busts a big one as Western tries to take the angle as Ahmad Green saves the touchdown, but we'll have to see if this one comes back.
I think it is coming back, but I like the enthusiasm of White. Sean Jackson lit a fire under White. Sean Jackson, you scored. All right, that's time for me to go get one too, but I think it's working against the offense.
And also an opportunity for White in this game with Beard going out. holding on Appalachian will bring this back. We talked about how White had only carried the ball 16 times all season coming into the game, but he certainly is trying to make the most of the opportunity that's been presented to him today.
Well, if they are to move on, and maybe they will with some of the losses today, White may become a factor. Jackson will probably have a larger role because we don't know how well Jerry Beard's ankle will respond next week or the following week, so they may have lost him for the rest of the season.
Well, and we mentioned earlier how Furman upset Wofford.
Holding against the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
So Furman hopes it climbed back into the playoff hunt. Appalachian certainly believes a win today will put it into the 1AA playoffs, and you've got to like their chances under Jerry Moore when leading after 3 quarters. Obviously, his team knows how to seal the deal, but the emotions that have been running in this one, with 14 and a half minutes to go, it's a long way from over. First and very long. Burchett in a passing situation swings it out to Devon Folks. Folks looking for running room, approaches midfield, crosses the 45 before Rod Dunlap brings him down.
And that's the difference. Burchett, he's in the shotgun, but it's a quick pass. He catches it, he gets rid of it, and Folks has room to run. And that's what I'm talking about when you look at the Catamounts offense. They haven't been doing just this. Get it out there. Look at the space. A lot of green grass. He makes 2 guys miss. See you later, thanks for coming, and he picks up a big gain.
That's Folks' first catch of the game, and Burchett and Appalachian do a great job of spreading the ball around. 14 different receivers have caught passes this season, so first and very long turns into second and short. As Sean Jackson runs between the tackles there and gets to the secondary, Deontay Cook bringing him down, but the chains move. It's a first down.
Well, he used his eyes. He started to his right. He ducked back to his left. And we've already talked about his size. When he gets down low, you can't see him. If I'm a linebacker, I'm sitting back there saying, where is he? I don't know where he's gone. And sooner or later, when he pops out, he already has a full head of steam, and we've already seen him go the distance, and you really have to figure out, where are my lanes and stay in them defensively, because he's seeing things that they can't see.
Appalachian in Western Territory. Jackson on the pitch. Across the 45, down to about the 40-yard line. Again, positive pickup for Sean Jackson. If you're just joining us, let's take a look at our Carolina Ford Dealers game summary. A defensive game for sure on both sides of the ball. Appalachian State had a 10-0 lead at halftime. Josh Jeffries with 2 of the 3 sacks in this game. The defensive front for Appalachian, Ethan, we've been talking all day how they have delivered as advertised, but Michael Banks, the great 33-yard catch, has brought Western back into the ballgame. And little Sean Jackson again here on the carry gets close to the first down. Looks like he may have gotten it with his final forward push.
Well, Jeb Hall, 57, he comes in, but Jackson now has become the workhorse. But you want to be very careful of allowing a 5'6", 155, let's say 50-pound back. I was about to give him 5 more pounds.
With the pads on.
Right, the way he's running, I'll give him 5 more pounds. But I don't know if you want to continue to pound him in there, because you don't want to beat him up. I mean, you want this guy to stay fresh, and I don't think he's that 20-carry back, that bruising back. I mean, he's your scat back, your changeup. You see App State, they're short, and now they have a decision to make. Do I give it to Jackson, or do I give it to Hoover? And I think they'll give it to the bigger back, Joey Hoover.
Obviously, that forward progress did not push him far enough, as his knee must have touched the ground, but it's going to be a just a few inches situation, and you would think with 3rd and inches, there's really only one play, isn't there?
Quarterback sneak?
Okay.
But I think they'll give it to Hoover.
All right. Offensive coordinator, Ethan Horton. No, I'm not a betting man, certainly not against you, but Joey Hoover's certainly up to that kind of a challenge.
Well, he's lining up on the wing, so he won't get it this time.
There you go. Burchett under center. 3rd and very, very short. Oh, how about that? Quarterback sneak, and we'll see where they mark it.
So was I right or was I wrong? I chose the wrong guy.
I'll answer that question, yes.
And Jerry Moore has done a great job. I think Jerry Moore was a little nervous. I mean, look at the coaching wins in the Southern Conference, 114 wins. Wallace Wade of Duke second. And I think he felt like his team was ready to play, but because of the rivalry, he really wasn't sure.
He passed the great Wallace Wade of Duke earlier this season in October against East Tennessee. And Wallace Wade, remember, back in the first part of this century, was a legendary coach at Duke when Duke was a member of the Southern Conference. And Jerry Moore, we've talked about it earlier this year, after he was fired at Texas Tech, it looked to be a down time for him. But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to him, going to Boone, North Carolina, and ending up at Appalachian. 14 years there now, Ethan. He has rewritten the record books. We have seen how his team closes games when leading in the third quarter, and he is this great conference's all-time winningest coach. Joe Burchett trying to find Jermaine Little, but not able to connect.
And not only that, he'll be there for 2 more years. Just signed a contract extension. And he's happy. I mean, the thing about Jerry Moore is I found he's happy where he is. He's not looking to go anywhere else. And he doesn't concern himself with a lot of negatives. Very positive man, very upbeat man. And he's like, hey, I'm happy where I am. I like where I am. I have a very good program, and we're just trying to get better.
We congratulated Coach Moore on his new deal yesterday, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and was like, yeah, well, whatever. He's just happy as can be and trucking along, really thinking about this game and making the playoffs. And Burchett swings it to Sean Jackson, who again goes back to work. He's inside the 10-yard line, and Appalachian will have a 1st and goal.
Well, they found a way to beat the pressure with the screen pass. Because the Catamounts, they've given Joe Burchett fits. They haven't gotten there all the time, but they've gotten there just enough to take away the passing lanes. You see the blitz there. Now, there's a lot of good blocking. And you see the acceleration of Jackson. He sees a hole, gets back to the outside. So he sets up behind the tackle. Here comes the pressure. Nice play by Rob Best of containing the blitz and containing the pressure. Now, defensively, you have to slow down just a little bit.
Burchett wants to throw, looking into the end zone, finding his receiver, Joey Hoover, out of the backfield, and Appalachian has another touchdown.
Well, I don't know how Joey Hoover could have missed that pass, because Burchett, he just set his feet and he put a bullet right between the 4 and the 1. I mean, it was almost as if he planted it right on his numbers, which he did, but he put it in a position where either his guy was either going to catch it or drop it, and he caught it in this case. I mean, I heard the ball hit the pads from way up here. I mean, that's how strong the pass was.
The point of the football drilling him in the chest. The point after is good, and all of a sudden Appalachian has grabbed control of this football game. We've talked about the rivalry. It's an 11-play drive that eats up almost 5.5 minutes of clock. Burchett, Hoover, and Appalachian is in control. The Appalachian fans here on the campus of Western Carolina have reason to be happy now as their Mountaineers have stretched the lead to 17. This week, Fox NFL Sunday begins with America's #1 pregame show. Then Aaron Brooks leads the Saints against his cousin Michael Vick and the Falcons. It's a showdown between 2 NFC South rivals and a family affair for sure. It all begins this week on Fox NFL Sunday.
Well, Michael Vick got the best of his cousin in the first meeting, so I'm pretty sure Aaron Brooks, he's going to come back with a vengeance.
And that has meaning in that new NFC South division as well. And we've talked about rivalries. We mentioned it before. That one's been a pretty good one in the NFL for a long time. And now Western Carolina has to pull itself out of a pretty deep hole as Appalachian chewed up clock, put together a fine drive lasting 11 plays. We've talked about Joey Hoover finishing it on the receiving end of a touchdown pass. A big run here. And that's what Western needed. Xavier Goddard getting it done, 90 yards, and all of a sudden it's not so fast.
Where'd you get that from?
Watching the big lead Appalachian had in the celebration they had on the sideline.
You know
That's the only place. Xavier Goddard delivering the big play when his team needed it in a big way.
But he takes his helmet off, so there's a penalty. It will probably come after the kick, but great blocking. See, he sees it, and now it's just off to the races. And he has the speed to get out there, too.
That he does. Until that, his longest kick return of the season was 30 yards. And the freshman from Athens, Georgia, brings Western back to within 2 touchdowns.
Play, unsportsmanlike. Gets the offense, 15-yard penalty, try down.
You called it. I said 2 touchdowns. Will be within 10 if the point after can be good, but the point after is going to be a lot of work now.
Well, Paul, that penalty hurts. We've seen this football team in the first half botch 2 field goals. Now they're pretty much in the same spot they were in the first half. Let's see if they can get the snap.
Well, we'll see if Chris Vogt can deliver a 35-yard point after. He's got the distance, and it's good. So Western has pulled within 10. And with just over 10 minutes to play, we still have a ball game. Xavier Goddard answering that Appalachian touchdown here with a 90-yard kick return.
Well, this changes the complexity of this football game. The coaches talked about this kid being a deep threat. Paul, you touched on it, him being a freshman. I think he was just a little overexcited about the touchdown. Although they were able to make the extra point, this football team cannot allow this to happen this late in the game if they expect to win, because I think they were very fortunate to make a 35-yard extra point, because had they not made it, that would have put this team back in the same hole they were trying to dig themselves out of.
Falling down by 17 in the fourth quarter, they needed something big to happen, and they needed it in a hurry, and Xavier Goddard certainly delivers that. But Appalachian, after just having reeled off an 11-play drive, will try to do something like that again.
Well, defensively, the Catamounts, they played very well for the most part of today's game. And this could be the play that they need to get that enthusiasm back, to get the excitement back, because the last time they had a big play, the touchdown play to Michael Banks, defensively they rose to the occasion. Now let's see if they can do it once again.
Western Carolina to kick it to Jermaine Little, who awaits inside his 5. And this will be Little at the 1. Little hit and dropped at the 20, so the Mountaineers will start from there. And there is excitement in the stands here at Whitmire Stadium, Bob Waters Field, but these are exciting times at Western Carolina. The stadium will be undergoing a major facelift before next season, as stands will be erected on the visitors' side. About 4,500 new seats are just part of the project. A new field house and strength and conditioning. There's going to be a restaurant and club-level seating that will enhance the game day experience. There will also be a new visitors' locker room area. Athletic Director Jeff Comfer was telling us about it all last night with a great deal of pride, and he and the fans here at Western Carolina have much to be excited about.
They do. I mean, it helps with the recruiting. It helps in a variety of ways. We've had a big crowd. They're trying to get their program back. We have a player down. Can't really see the number, but all these things help enhance recruiting. And anytime you can put yourself in a good position to recruit, you got to feel good about your program and what you're doing in the future of where you're trying to go.
It's Brent Shaw shaken up on the play. He's a backup linebacker who plays on special teams, helped off the field. But again, Western Carolina with much to be excited about. But in this series, where the Catamounts have certainly shown a great deal of emotion today, they find themselves trailing by 10 with just over 10 minutes to play in the game. But Joe Burchett and the Mountaineers have the football. And And this is Sean Jackson again, taking the pitch and picking up some positive yardage, just a few yards, but again, Appalachian starting to work the clock.
Well, Dunston Kendrick makes the first hit, number 47. And I feel like the Mountaineers, they're going to rush the football. You touched on it earlier, Paul. They had a long drive, 11 plays. They took off a lot of time on the clock. Defensively, Western must make a stand if they want to have another chance to score points, but at least it will give them some time to try to score those points.
Burchett wants to throw, finds Sterling Hayward, who goes out of bounds. The clock will stop, and he'll be shy of the first down.
But if you notice, Appalachian has gone to the safe passes, just a 7-8 yard version, just enough to keep them in third and short situations. And they're not trying to throw the ball down the field. They're trying to be very workmanlike. I think they're trying to put the game away on this drive with points and leave as little time on the clock as possible to give this offense a chance to score points.
And with that pass, Joe Burchett has passed Steve Brown, who is here at the game today, and become Appalachian's all-time career passing leader. Third and short. Jackson works his way across the 30, tries to push for the first down. Looks like he got it. He was very close.
This small man is running very hard. I didn't anticipate him picking up the slack this quickly for Jerry Beard, but he has run between the tackles. He's gotten to the outside. I mean, he's used his speed, and he's used his size also by hiding back there, but you look at his coming into the season, his yards, in terms of his average, he averages 4.6 yards, so he's getting all of that, and they're getting a lot of use out of number 24, Sean Jackson.
Jackson, the lone setback here. 1st and 10 for Appalachian at its own 32 as we get under the 9-minute mark. Jackson again with running room, changes direction and gets to midfield. A big run for Sean Jackson there.
He could be just what the doctor ordered. I mean, Jerry Beard goes down, 91 yards, 12 rushes, touchdown. I mean, he's a change-up guy. And I'm pretty sure defensively they were expecting the load back there. Jerry Beard and 24 coming in just to change up things. But all of a sudden now he's thrust into the lineup and he's making the most of his opportunity, and he's giving his defense a lot of fits just with his speed and change of direction.
Well, Appalachian on its last possession put together that 11-play touchdown drive. Yes, Xavier Goddard ran the kickback, but Western's defense didn't get much time to rest. They're back on their heels again. Appalachian now in Catamount territory. 1st and 10 for Chet. With a play action, Rod Dunlap pops him from the backside. Burchett was lucky to get that away. Missed Jason LeMay. And it looks like Burchett is still down, not moving, as Dunlap really popped him as he released the football.
Well, he took a shot, and you know he's had back surgery. I don't know if that could be a problem, but he's not moving right now. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, but he may be all right.
Well, you're right. Burchett missed the first 2 games of the season as he had a disc removed from his back. He also had shoulder surgery a year ago. There's Dunlap hitting him and then also getting finished there by Michael Spicer. And all of a sudden it became a kind of sandwich that you don't want to be.
Well, I think Spicer really delivers the blow, although he gets hit from behind. But this is the one that hurts because he's falling forward down to the ground. But Spicer kind of catches him because he's in the grasp with number 7 Dunlap right there. So he's going down and he takes a blow to the head.
And that's the one that has everyone concerned at the moment. Joe Burchett, a tough guy, as we've talked about. He missed a year ago all of spring practice because of that shoulder surgery, but did not miss a game, played all 13. This year, when he had the back surgery, he missed 2 games, but he wanted to play in both of them. Burchett is rolled over and starting to sit up, but will take a break. Appalachian clinging to a 10-point lead with 8:15 to play. Appalachian quarterback Joe Burchett did walk off under his own power to a nice applause from this Western Carolina crowd after getting hit by Rod Dunlap from the backside, Michael Spicer from the front, and this was frightening for a moment as Spicer inadvertently drills him in the head. Richie Williams, the quarterback now, on the keeper. Williams breaks a tackle, gets hit himself, but picks up the first down and more. The battle for the old mountain jug continues, and let's go down to old Jim Noble.
All right, Paul, this is why these guys are laying it on the line. Like you can see, it is the old mountain jug, about 30 years old. It's seen better days, needs a new paint job, but you see the logos of both teams. Now, Western fans, I want to be clear, I'm not presenting it to Appalachian State right now. So, Joseph, it is their rightful property since they won it last year, and we'll check back in and see if this score holds up and see if App gets to keep what Jerry Moore built as their piece of furniture for another year.
That's right. They had it 13 years in a row. He said nobody really paid much attention to it until it wasn't there. And then everyone noticed it was like a piece of furniture missing. Richie Williams, again calling his own number, hit by Rod Dunlap right away. The football comes loose, and the referees are saying he was down. Western a little disappointed about that.
Although Joe Burchett has been knocked out of his ball game, momentarily anyway, Richard Williams has played, so he has a little time under his belt. Different style of quarterback. Now, if the Catamounts want to rush this quarterback, he's able to get out of there, get out of the pocket and make some things happen with his legs. And the coaches like him because he's young, he's mobile, he's eager to learn, and he also won a big ball game early in the season against Furman. Actually, Eastern Kentucky, excuse me.
So far, Richie Williams has been a running quarterback, and here he pitches to Sean Jackson, who's done so much positive running today, works his way back to the inside, and the key thing here, the clock continues to roll. We're inside 6.5 minutes.
I don't think he knew coming to this ball game he was going to play this much. I think he knew, well, I'll play a little bit, I'll get a few carries, but he has definitely picked up the slack, taken the load upon himself and put it on his own shoulders and said, okay, follow me, I will take you to the promised land.
Again, Appalachian quarterback Joe Burchett, right after becoming the school's all-time passing leader, gets hurt and leaves. Richie Williams now the quarterback. The current drive, 8 plays, 49 yards, over 3.5 minutes. Williams again calls his own number and does not get much.
Well, as we can see, they weren't really trying to throw the football with Richie Williams. They just wanted to get him probably some time with Joe, because Joe, I doubt if he comes back into the ball game. They just are trying to run some time off the clock, Paul, and I don't think they're going to throw the football, and they may even go for it on 3rd down just to use some more, actually 4th down just to use some more time on the clock. But, you know, Richie Williams is their future. He's not their present.
Well, let's go down to Jim Noble.
Guys, very good news. Joe Burchett is up, taking off the pads. He just got his bell rung. That's the clinical diagnosis I can hear. He probably could go back in the game, but they're trying to be very careful this one. He did, of course, break that record for all-time career passing yards.
To 5 minutes, 46 seconds. 5, 4, 6.
So Joe Burchett could be back in, but the best news of all, he's up and walking around.
Well, you're right about that, Jim. The way his head got snapped back after being sandwiched between Dunlap and Spicer, that's good news indeed, especially as long as he laid on the ground motionless at the start of it.
But you don't take that risk either, Paul, because if they have more games to play, you've already lost your star tailback. You can't afford to lose your quarterback and your star tailback all in the same evening.
Well, Richie Williams on 4th and about 5 swings the pass towards Sterling Hayward, who slips and falls, and Western Carolina will take over on downs.
Well, they get the football back. They have a little time. Now they have to get a drive going very quickly. And I'm pretty sure that defensive front, they have already said to themselves, let's continue to get after the quarterback and put this game away, because they will have to pass the football.
Well, we still have a football game, but Western Carolina has a very important possession coming up, and we'll see what they can do in a moment. Appalachian State leads Western Carolina by 10 with just under 5.5 minutes to play, but Western has the football. ACC Sunday Night Hoops returns to Fox Sports Net beginning on December 1st. The Temple Owls take on Wake Forest in a showdown between perennial powers. Tom Brenneman and former Duke All-American Mike Jaminski will have the call as ACC Sunday Night Hoops tips off December 1st right here on Fox Sports Net. Love some of the early non-conference games. Atlantic 10 against ACC here, and both of those teams pretty good.
They are.
First and 10 for Western Carolina, with a possession on which the game could ride. Pat Salento again, this time to his back, Manny Deschantiers out of big trouble, and Deschantiers gets a big first down. Jarrell Carter on the tackle.
But you notice what he did. He got rid of the pass. The pocket collapses. 58, he's coming. 93, he's coming. He gets hit, but the ball is out, so there's no sack. I've been asking for that play all afternoon. Defensively, you don't want to give up the big play here.
And he found a secondary receiver and picked up an important first down. Salento with a collapsing pocket again. Again looks to Deschantiers, but this time it's incomplete.
But also I have to credit the secondary of the Mountaineers because they're taking away a lot of those routes, but at the same time, when you have the pressure up front that these guys are getting, it's much easier to see what's coming in front of you because the quarterback doesn't have time because he's holding the football.
Well, he's holding it on the sneak because Deschantiers on that first pass did not quite make the first down. So now Salento takes care of that, but we're under the 5-minute mark. The clock stops for the chains to get set, but Western Carolina is running out of time.
Well, normally I would suggest throwing the ball down the field because there's time on the clock. They're behind, but they don't have the time. So get the short passes and get out of bounds or just get up the field. Don't take the sack.
Salento from the shotgun. Oh, and a big hit delivered by Sam Smalls and Brian Rucker, the one who pays for it.
Did you notice how he just walked over the receiver after he crushed it? It's like, get a look at this number. I want you to see it.
Rucker again, the pass-catching tight end for Western, picks up 2, pays for both of them. Salento, 2nd and 8. We're inside 4 minutes now to go in the fourth quarter. And Salento wants to run. Tripped up on the play, and that was a nice tackle. Kind of a touchdown-saving tackle or a big play-saving tackle by Leon Moore.
Well, it was a big play-saving tackle because what he did was he received the snap, read the defense, made a decision. Defensively, you know they're going to rush to the outside, so everything opens up in the middle, and that's why it opened up.
Salento again wants to throw. Has a man and a first down. Again, it's Brian Rucker.
The quicker decisions are making this defense think because now they don't have time to sit back there, allow the defensive rush to get there. See, 1, 2, 3, balls out. Now they have to react, go and make a play. And this is something they haven't had to do all day because in the quarterback position, the Catamounts, they haven't had this type of consistency throwing the football with the shorter passes.
And Jarrell Carter keeps Rucker from reaching the sideline, so the clock continues to tick. Salento again has a man, Xavier Guy. We know he's got speed. He's got the first down here before being pushed out of bounds, but there's a flag on the play. Hold on just a moment.
Well, if it's against the offense, it hurts. Looks like 93 KT Stovall is down on the field.
And Stovall shaken up. And Western Carolina shaken up just a bit as well.
Ineligible. Downfield by the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
And that's one of those, Ethan, at this point in the game with all that's on the line, can't have that.
No, not at this juncture. When you come into the fourth quarter, close game, you have to focus in. Eliminate your mistakes, especially when you're behind because any penalty that you have probably will work against you if you're on offense and really on defense as well, but really offensively, they haven't been in sync all afternoon, Paul, and now they're starting to find some type of rhythm. And you don't want a flag to take you out of the rhythm you fought so hard to gain.
Stovall works his way to the sideline, and Western Carolina now, instead of knocking at the door, is way back at the 47 with a 1st and 15, just over 3 minutes to play. Salento's pass is incomplete. His intended receiver was Chris Lane, who wanted a flag, but is not going to get it. And more football coming up at 7 Eastern time, and it's a good one from the Big 12 as Iowa State, led by exciting quarterback Seneca Wallace, faces off against 17th-ranked Colorado. Running back Chris Brown leads the nation in rushing. Join Bill Land and Gary Reasons from Folsom Field in Boulder, Colorado tonight at 7 on Fox Sports Net. And again, Salento wanting to pass. This time he's fortunate that Steve Kitchens didn't pick it off.
Well, Kitchens, 2 defensive stops. And you're talking about a strong safety playing linebacker. So his ability to get out there in space and his ability to make plays in the passing game is there because that's what he's used to doing. But now he's moved close to the line of scrimmage, and he's really given that defense something to work on. You look at Western's offense coming into the game, they led this conference in passing yards. And now 116 yards passing. So defensively, defensive coordinator John Wiley, he's done an outstanding job today.
Less than 3 minutes to play for Pat Salento in Western Carolina. Tries to run to the outside, does get to the sideline, but gets nowhere near a first down. So, Ethan, it's going to come down to a 4th and long for Western Carolina.
Well, they haven't had a lot of success all day. We know they're going to have to throw the football. We know the rush is coming. We know the best way to beat the rush is a short pass. But they have to pick up 15 yards, Paul, and I don't know if they have a play in the game plan to pick up the 15 yards.
Well, it's going to be 4th and about 8.
Okay.
Western Carolina.
And we've talked about how well this Appalachian State defense has played, and they've been led by some great ones. We've talked about the guys on the line, seniors, including John Menino. He's helped anchor the middle of one of the best fronts. Came out of Marist High School outside Atlanta. Josh Jeffries. Well, this is just a big play guy. School record 14 sacks last year. He's thinking about a Buck Buchanan Award this year. And linebacker Sam Smalls, quick, aggressive, a hard hitter. He's become a force on the outside. These 3 guys are going to be leaving some big holes next year.
When you have that type of senior leadership, it's hard to replace. And these guys have made a lot of contributions on the field, off the field, and Jerry Moore, he's going to have his hands full trying to find some guys to come up with that type of production because those guys are very hard to find.
Josh Jeffries in particular is going to leave a huge hole at one defensive end position, but right now these guys are thinking about one thing: stopping Western Carolina, facing what appears to be a 4th and about 8 yards. Western on the season 8 for 16 on 4th down conversions, but this is anything but a coin flip. Western's game rides on the play. Appalachian's season may ride on it as they try to work their way into the 1AA playoffs. So here we go. 4th and 8 from the Appalachian 40. Salento to throw, incomplete. Xavier Goddard wanting a flag, but he's not gonna get it. And Appalachian holds, and now will work to finish the clock.
Well, they also went to the main guy, Michael Banks. 1 reception on the afternoon. I think defensively he was taken out of the game. And when you take those type of players out of the game, it makes it difficult for everyone else. I mean, coming into the game, Coach Briggs talked about the receivers, the strength of his football team. Defensively, John Wiley, he talked about his guys up front. The guys up front, they've won the battle today.
Appalachian will work to finish the clock. Richie Williams' job now to just run it out. And Joey Hoover gets a big gain. Joey Hoover's had himself quite a game as well. Pushes it out toward midfield and close to an Appalachian first down.
Well, the secret weapon continues. And now the Mountaineers, they just want to get out of this game healthy. I mean, they've lost some players, but they want to move from this, I'm going to say from this situation forward into a better situation, which is the playoffs. Healthy, mentally sound. They had the confidence, I think, based on their performance today. And I feel like Jerry Moore has done a good job motivating his team to get them ready to play because they could have come in here flat.
Well, they had the loss to Georgia Southern, the loss to Wofford. The conference slipped away from them, but there's still plenty to play for. They had the tremendous good fortune of that incredible play at the end of the Furman game. Sean Jackson coughs up the football here. Western trying to get one last chance. We're under the 2-minute mark. We'll see if the Catamounts are able to grab the football.
You know what they say about those piles? If you have it, hold on to it. And if you can, get out of there as Joey Hoover comes up with the fumble recovery.
That a big play as well. And you can see that Nick McNeil not happy about that. Perhaps he saw something at the bottom of the pile the referees did not.
I think Hoover took the football away.
Our Pepsi player of the game is Sean Jackson, who went over the 100-yard mark as he had to step in for the injured Jerry Beard. His touchdown really broke this game open at a time Appalachian really needed it because Western had pulled within 3. And Sean Jackson takes away our player of the game honors. Well, Joey Hoover has had himself quite a game as well.
And Jackson has just been outstanding. I mean, he's caught the ball out of the backfield. He's shown explosiveness. He's shown good vision, patience, the cutting ability, stop, restart. He's really given this defense a lot of problems because he's a small guy, 5'6", $150. You can't see him until he pops out of there as he does here for the, I think, the play that really changed the complexion of this entire game. And it really lifted the Mountaineers in second half because before that play, they had done nothing, 2 yards of total offense.
That 38-yard touchdown run definitely changed the complexion of this game because we had ourselves a serious football game at that point. But Joey Hoover has had himself quite a game as well. Nick McNeil in on the tackle of Sean Jackson there. But Jackson and Hoover have really answered the bell when they had to most.
Well, Hoover, as I've mentioned before, I think he's a...
Western, their second of the half.
He's their secret weapon. I mean, he carries the football some. He will catch a few passes out of the backfield. You don't really expect him to do an awful lot because they have so many other players they like to get involved. But all of a sudden, when he makes a contribution, now it forces you defensively to defend the field. And today, he was able to do some things because I don't know if this Western defense was ready for Joey Hoover.
No, and he was able to catch that touchdown pass as well. So he's done it all. He certainly has also blocked well. And the two of these guys have allowed Appalachian to do what they wanted to do, which was run the football and have a more balanced offense. They didn't want to get in a situation where they had to throw it. Losing Jerry Beard could have put them in that position, but both Sean Jackson and Joey Hoover allowed them to continue what they wanted to do.
Well, they answered the bell. Hoover being a senior, you know he doesn't want this to be his last game. And I know he's feeling pretty good right now because we've talked about his brother Brad being a star here at Western Carolina. Now he gets to end, well, the regular season on Brad's field, having an outstanding game. He received a touchdown pass. He's had some good runs as well. So you know right now he's tickled pink, I'm sure, on the inside, like, hey, I did it on my brother's field. I know he's going to give Brad a hard time, not because Appalachian is going to win the game, but he can rub it in, we did it at your place.
We've seen all sorts of emotion here today. Plenty of emotion coming up. Stick around at the top of the hour. Iowa State at Colorado. Seneca Wallace facing off against Chris Brown. Should be a fine offensive show. Richie Williams on the keeper here. Appalachian has the first down. The clock will stop for a moment as the chains move, but this deal is just about done. And Seneca Wallace, the exciting Cyclones quarterback, will try to go into Boulder, Colorado, and knock off 17th ranked Colorado. Seneca Wallace has been able to pull off a few miracles. There's Chris Brown. He's the nation's leading rusher. Colorado and Iowa State. Certainly Colorado working its way toward the Big 12 championship game after a disappointing start. The Buffaloes have gotten right back into the thick of things.
Well, they had a shot last year. I'll tell you what, that Big 12 conference right now, it's a lot of football left.
Pretty good.
Yes, it is.
Seneca, or I should say Richie Williams, ready to take a knee. And the final ticks of the clock will go. The Old Mountain Jug will stay in Boone, North Carolina. And just as important to the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, they can pretty much punch their ticket for the 1AA playoffs.
Let's hope they don't put anything inside that jug.
If they do, they'll have to drink it by throwing it over the shoulder.
Well, that's the way they used to do it.
They might be able to find somebody in the backyard someplace that could fill that up with something. But it will return to Boone, where it has been prominently displayed for 16 of the last 17 years, and now it's 17 of 18. But Western Carolina certainly played very well for much of this football game.
They did. I mean, defensively, they came out, and I thought they played as well as any team could have. Offensively, they just could not get on track because the Mountaineers defensively, they had that offense in their vision. They were very focused, and they played a better game today.
Well, Jerry Moore is 13-1 in this series, and let's go down to Jim Noble.
Guys, thanks. Hey, I just turned to Jerry Moore and said, Coach, you're the star of the show. He said, no way. The star of this show was our defense.
Oh, yeah, and can't say enough about them. I mean, they just, we gave up the lot. It wasn't defense, but a special teams kickoff return. But other than that, our defense just really played really fine. We're very proud of them.
Now that it's over, you know that Furman beat Wofford. You said a couple of days ago you felt optimistic about the playoffs if you won this game. How optimistic do you feel now?
Well, it's really left up to the committee. You can't take anything for granted. And the thing I talked to our players about the last 2 or 3 weeks is really, what are you going to do when there's no guarantee? I mean, that kind of a role. To go play hard, play our best, then leave it to the committee to make your selections, and hopefully we've played well enough to get in, and I think we got a pretty good ball club.
Jerry, congratulations. Paul, we got a jug to chase. We'll be right back.
Well, it's in Thomas Herron's hands, Jim. Number 50 is having a good time with the jug, and at least one of the brothers we've been watching throughout this game has a chance to be happy about this. The old Mountain Jug stays in Boone, North Carolina, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Welcome back to Cullowhee, North Carolina, where the old Mountain Jug stays in possession of Appalachian State after a 24-14 win over Western Carolina. I'm joined by fullback Joey Hoover and linebacker Josh Jeffries, defensive lineman Josh Jeffries, who's got the jug. I know the game's important, I know the playoffs are important, but talk about this thing for a second.
It feels real good, I guess, to keep it. I know we've won 4 in a row, and I haven't felt what it feels like to lose it. But I know it feels good to take this back to Boone with us.
And, of course, you guys have unfinished work to do. You're going to sit back for a week and kind of sweat it out. But how do you feel about your chances for the playoffs?
I think our chances are pretty good, but, I mean, it's up to the selection committee and stuff. So all we can do is just sit and wait.
All right, Josh, appreciate it. Give that thing over to Mr. Hoover for a second, because Joey Hoover's heard and seen about this one for a long time. And your brother Brad nailed it down about 4 years ago, and I know you had to hear about it. But he may have that big NFL paycheck. You've got the jug 3 of your 4 years at App State.
Well, the last time really family was playing on this field, he got the jug, and the last time he kissed it, so might as well go and kiss it for a while. So, but it was a great game today, and I'm glad to keep the jug still in our possession. So.
And Western was ready to play, and they kept it close for a while. Was there ever a time where you guys were getting nervous over on your sideline?
You're always nervous a little bit, but we just had to come out and play all around. And the last 2 weeks we've been clicking pretty good on offense and defense and special teams.
All right, Joey Hoover, appreciate it. We know we have a celebration to get to, guys. I got a funny feeling the party in Boone is just starting.
Well, that it might be, Jim. Considering how cold it is down there now, Joey Hoover's lucky he got both his lips back after kissing that thing. But now the selection committee has a decision to make, because you take a look at the Division I AA poll, the Southern Conference has 4 teams in the top 10. Now, Georgia Southern, by winning the conference title outright, has the automatic bid, but Furman, by winning at Wofford today, has climbed back into things, and certainly Appalachian State, winning this game on the road, is right in the thick of the hunt. So a 16-team field, Ethan. Perhaps 4 Southern Conference teams could work their way in.
Well, they all are in the top 10, so how can you deny that? I mean, they may, but I think that'll be very hard to tell one of those teams no, because look at their rankings, and I think that's what they'll be looking at.
Well, I think the selection committee certainly has a decision to make. For Ethan Horton and Jim Noble and our fine Fox Sports Net crew, this is Paul Crane saying so long from Whitmire Stadium in Cullowhee, North Carolina, where the final score is Appalachian State 24, Western Carolina 14, and the jug will stay in Boone, North Carolina. Start your NFL weekend the night before kickoff with the NFL show presented by the U.S. Postal Service tonight after college football. But coming up next, it's Big 12 action as Iowa State visits number 17 Colorado, and this promises to be a good one. You've been watching college football on Fox Sports Net, your regional home for Southern Conference football. It's been a great year, and we all thank you very much. Good night from Cullowhee, North Carolina.